I spent the last year investigating the craziest Roblox game stories, like popular games getting abandoned, dying, and much more. So let's break down all these stories, starting with popular games that were abandoned. The year is 2016, and one game has taken over the platform. Thousands of active players, gaining millions of visits at a speed never seen before. If you weren't playing Redwood Prison at this time, you were missing out. But now in 2025, the game is far from what it was, fully abandoned, last updated in 2021, and it only averages around 20 players a day. The game was created by Roy Stanford in 2016 and was an instant hit. In the first month, they had over 2 million visits, and by the end of the year, it reached over 85 million visits. And now, over time, the game has almost 300 million visits. So with all the success, why did he abandon it? To understand what happened, I joined in hoping to see who was still playing and why. At first, it was completely quiet. A few players fighting, but that's about it. No one is even talking to each other. The whole point of this game is that you select to be a prisoner or a police officer, and the goal is for the prisoners to escape and the police officers to stop them. But with the low player count, no one really took this game seriously anymore. Eventually I started questioning the players to see why they were still playing.
How come you guys still play this game?
I haven't played this since I was 10 in 2017.
So you're coming back just for nostalgia?
I am. Yeah, I am too.
As you can see, most of the people playing this game nowadays aren't even playing it for fun. They're just playing it for nostalgia since it's a game they used to enjoy. And since it's been abandoned, most people moved on.
Why do you think this game died?
No updates.
Do you wish it was never abandoned?
Part of me does, yeah.
After talking to these players, it's pretty clear players missed this game and are sad that Orange stopped updating it one day and abandoned the project. They even said this was their first time playing the game in years. It doesn't really make sense for a developer to abandon a project this successful out of nowhere, but once you investigate deeper, it all makes sense. Roy Stanford, the developer behind the game, joined Roblox all the way back in 2008. For the first few years he was quiet, but eventually started launching games, one of which even being a cops and robbers game, which probably inspired Redwood Prison later on. But there was a problem. Roy Stanford launched game after game, year after year, with not much success. Most of his projects would die out and just get no attention, but he wasn't ready to give up just yet. He had his first big breakthrough with The Living Dead in 2015, and it would go on to get over 20 million visits. After years, it seemed like he had finally made it, but he was only getting started. And 2016 would change his life forever, because in 2016, he took everything he learned from his past games to create Redwood Prison, which as mentioned exploded, now having almost 300 million visits. But in 2021, Roy Stanford would do one less update and never update it ever again. Here's the thing with Roy Stanford, he always wants more and never seems to be satisfied. As we saw, he had a game go viral and immediately moved on and started creating another, and that's exactly what happened here. Despite Redwood Prison being a major hit, he just kept on going. His next game was Baker's Valley, which once again was a viral hit, getting over 185 million visits. And then next year he would launch again, but this time it would change everything. Because the next game after that was Spider, which would go absolutely viral, and become a top 50 most visited Roblox game of all time, sitting at over 2.5 billion visits. So as you can see, this developer just focused on other big projects, and eventually moved on. Not only is Redwood Prison abandoned, but so are all his other games that I just mentioned. No matter how popular they get, he eventually just moves on and creates something else. Currently, he's working on Rainbow Friends, which is the 26th biggest Roblox game ever made, sitting at over 4 billion visits, and that too hasn't been updated in a while. We never know what this developer is up to, but what we do know is that they're not afraid to abandon games, even if they have billions of visits. If you thought this story was crazy though, we're only getting crazier as the video goes on. Psycho 2 was released back in 2010 and amassed almost 10 million visits. However, the last update was almost 6 years ago, and in this case the owner is also missing from the platform, not being active in a few months. Let's play and find out what happened. Right away when I joined there was a huge problem. The game was completely dead. I was the only person playing, and in order for the game to start you need at least 4 players, so even if I wanted to play, I can't. This is probably why the community for this game is gone. Even if you want to play and support the game, you're forced to abandon it since there's just no one to play with. So I had to tweet out the game in order to get some players. The game is pretty simple. One player is a psycho and it's everyone's job to survive and escape before the psycho kills you. For this round I was a psycho and for some reason I just couldn't catch anyone. I didn't even see a player, however I eventually did actually end up winning the round. But the reason I won was because everyone got bored and just left. This game is in a pretty rough state, so let's investigate how I got to this point. Tofu Bytes, the developer, joined Roblox all the way back in 2009. They created a few games, but their big breakthrough was Psycho 2. The game originally was called Psycho 1, and then just updated to Psycho 2 later. They would just continue working on this game over the next few years while it was gaining millions of visits. And then in 2017 things started to slow down, but for a good reason, because in 2017 they recreated the game and started tests. However, by this point the game was 7 years old and was already becoming forgotten, so the recreation didn't do as well, and that too has no active players and seems to be abandoned. As for the reasoning why, it just seems to be time. The game is now over 15 years old. You can imagine why after that long someone just moves on. Also, with their account not being active, it just shows they probably just moved on in life and are focused on other things. A pretty good ending, but the same can be said for our next game. OP Ninja Simulator was created in 2019 and blew up on launch. Just after a few months, the game was approaching 10 million visits and had thousands of active players. It was growing fast too, only getting bigger over time, now having over 115 million visits. However, it hasn't had proper updates since 2020. Unlike most abandoned games though, this game still has a passionate community and averages 100 to 200 players every day. But why would someone abandon a game that got this popular so fast? Well, let's play and see what the remaining community has to say. I first tried talking to this person, but I got killed immediately. I then asked the overall chat to see what everyone had to say.
How come you guys still play this game after it was abandoned?
I don't know.
I also don't know.
I don't know.
To get on the leaderboard.
So overall, most people in the server don't really know themselves why they still play. But that last answer kinda seems to answer it all. As you can see by the gameplay, it's basically a clicker game. You just keep clicking to get stronger and keep working on upgrades. Everyone left in this game is people who spend so much time on this game, they're all at a point where it seems hard to let go. They invested so much time they might as well keep playing, and like they mentioned, try getting on the leaderboard. Even though the owner was ready to move on, a lot of the players weren't. I then talked to this other player who kinda proved my point.
How come you never quit this game after it stopped updating? Just curious.
I don't know.
Is it cause you already spent so much time on it?
Oh yeah, bro.
How long did you play before it stopped updating?
I don't know.
Months?
100,000.
Now I think this player was a bit confused because 100,000 months is 8,333 years, but they had billions of power in the game, so they're clearly playing for a while. Let's dig deeper to see why this dev just left this game behind. Sethopin is the developer behind this game, and they joined back in 2016. For the first few years, they just launched a bunch of random games that didn't really take off. However, 2019 is where things started to change, because that's when they launched OP Ninja Simulator, a game that would go absolutely viral. But just less than a year later in 2020, Sethopin made a group announcement saying that the game would no longer be updated ever again. No proper explanation, just for some reason they decided it was over. Around this time, the game was still doing good, getting thousands of players and millions of visits. There seem to still be some updates beyond this point though, but even with that, it's been almost 2 years since the game has been touched. There seems to be no reason as to why he just abandoned the game, but if we look deeper, the answer seems to be obvious. Around the same time, he created Lifting Simulator, which ended up becoming even more successful than Ninja Simulator, sitting at over 560 million visits, so it seems like he just abandoned the project to focus on the more popular game. This game's also been updated recently and is still being worked on. Weirdly enough though, Sethopin is also not that active on Roblox, not being online for almost a month now, so potentially they're also just getting bored of development and moving on. Still a pretty crazy ending, but our next is even crazier. Twisted Murder was created in 2014 and was the developer's Tape Master first big breakthrough on Roblox. Twisted Murder launched at a time where murder games were already popular, so with it having some unique elements, it was set up for success. The game exploded on launch, after 1 year gaining almost 30 million visits, and over time it would go on to gain over 93 million visits. But the game hasn't been updated since 2018, almost 7 years ago, leaving it to completely die out, most of the time having 0 active players. Let's play and see what went wrong. Obviously at first, like I mentioned, it was hard to find players since the game was super dead, so I just kept refreshing the game all day, waiting for someone to join, and finally, it happened.
How come you still play this game?
I used to play it.
So you're coming back for nostalgia?
I'm trying to see if someone will join, so we can start.
So as you can see, most people left playing this game are just coming back for nostalgia. However, they can't even properly play since you need 4 players to start the game. And after talking some more to this player, he left leaving me alone yet again. But later in the night, the game actually had a decent amount of people playing, so I hopped in to see what others had to say.
Why do you still play this game after it died?
Just for the fun of it. I used to play a lot, to be honest.
Are you sad it got abandoned?
I am.
Meh, yeah, but it's alright. Everything must come to an end one day.
A wise player with true words, everything must come to an end one day.
Do you still try and play, or is it too dead?
I sometimes still try and play, but it's too dead mostly.
I check it often, honestly.
So most of the players are just coming back for nostalgia, since this is a game they used to play. But most of the time there's not enough players to even play. It seems like a lot of them join pretty often, hoping more people join, but you just have to get lucky.
How long did you play before it got abandoned?
Honestly, I probably have over 100 hours on this game on my first account.
The more I talk to these people, the more I realize everyone playing now has been supporting this game for years and still plays since he has so much good memories associated with it.
Memories are crazy.
You've been playing for years, Xerox.
Yes. This account is from 2016, but I was a guest since 2014.
It's kinda sad if you think about it. A lot of these players just spent so many years and so many memories with this game that they can't just abandon it even if the owner did.
Do you guys think there's any chance this game gets an update?
No.
Never.
Let it go LOL.
LOL.
Tape-Master doesn't care about this anymore.
All the players have also lost complete hope for the game, which I mean is fair. It's been 7 years, at some point you have to let go. Let's dig deeper though to see why the developer, Tape Master, just abandoned this game that was loved by millions. As mentioned, this was his first big breakthrough, so he continued working on it for the next few years as the game grew bigger and bigger. But after a few years, in late 2017 and early 2018, fans noticed the game was being worked on less and less, and the game started slowly dying. Due to the nature of the game, there also isn't much you can add or change. The concept pretty much remains the same. So it seems like the game was dying, and the fact that it's been years, Tapemaster abandoned it to work on other projects that had more potential. And his next game would not only change his life forever, but Roblox as a whole forever. Because his next game was Mad City, a top 50 most visited Roblox game of all time, sitting at over 2.5 billion visits. So what it seems like happened was Tapemaster abandoned the game due to it dying and him probably losing some interest after a few years. And once his other projects took off, it wasn't really worth trying to keep the game alive, leaving it abandoned for years. Even though it makes sense to just abandon it, there still is a passionate community who still plays, hoping to relive some of the memories he had. But for the most part, the game remains completely dead. A pretty sad ending, but our next game has an even sadder ending. Islands is one of the biggest abandoned games ever because it has over 2.2 billion visits. But on November 7th, 2023, devs announced that they'll never be updating the game ever again since they are focused on other projects. However, this game still hasn't died out. Due to how popular this game was, it still just averaged 2,000 to 3,000 players. It has decreased a lot, but it's still holding up. A lot of players left, so I hopped in to see who's still playing this game and why.
How come you guys never quit after the game was abandoned?
I just like the game too much, lol.
Because it's a good game.
So it seems like most players still love this game since they've been playing for a while. Also, to be fair, Islands is a game in which you start on an island and slowly try to upgrade your base and more. So there always seems to be more you can do even if the game isn't being updated. There isn't really a way to complete the game.
The economy will always be a thing.
How long have you guys been playing?
2020.
So once again, most of the people left playing are people who've been supporting the game for years, and as they mentioned, the game is a whole economy now with players making their own shops and such, and that will never go away as long as there's still a community, so even without updates there's still a purpose in them playing.
Are you sad after years to see it stop updating?
Really? Really sad.
Since this game was so popular, it left thousands of players pretty sad since the game was abandoned, and most players seem to be sad it's over, but are still invested in the game since they've been playing for years. Why would a game this popular get abandoned though? Well, this game was made by the Easy.gg game studio, and they own another massive game on Roblox being Bed Wars, which has over 10 billion visits and constantly has around 50,000 active players, so they probably just focused more on this game. In the announcement, they also mentioned that they hope to remake this game in the future and are working on other projects, so potentially they're working on other games behind the scenes as well, and they just didn't think it was worth committing time to Islands anymore. If you thought that was crazy, the next story is even crazier. Covering popular Roblox games that died, Giant Survival has over 255 million visits, but only averages around 50 players a day. It used to average thousands, but has died out. The game was launched in 2019 by Big Games, however, it's actually a part 2 and a recreation of an older game made by Preston, the owner of Big Games, and that launched way earlier in 2014. The first game was successful, gaining over 50 million visits, so a few years later, they recreated it essentially being a part 2, and it also found success. So how did this series of successful games die out so bad? To understand what happened, I joined in hoping to see who was still playing and why. The game is pretty simple. One player is selected as a giant and the other players have to try and defeat them. While playing, you also earn money which you can use to upgrade your weapons and such.
How long have you been playing this game?
I'd say around 4 months.
Why do you think it died?
There's not much to do and no updates.
So to the players, the answer seems pretty clear. The game was hyped, but it just never received much updates. Also, if you look at the gameplay, it's typically the same thing over and over again. So with no changes to the game, people seem to have gotten bored and moved on. Also, apparently, there seems to be no plans to update the game in the future, so it'll probably continue dying out.
Are you sad to see it die out?
Yeah, I enjoyed playing it, but I knew it was gonna die without updates.
Do you wish it was still updated or have you moved on?
I've moved on. Yeah, the game hasn't really sparked my interest.
So as you can see, players are sad to see the game die out, but they kinda expected it to happen. Since the game isn't being worked on anymore, people get bored and leave. Even people who love the game and have been playing for a while realize this and are starting to lose interest. Let's investigate deeper to see why the developers of this game die out. Preston, the original creator of this game, joined Roblox all the way back in 2011. Right away, he started creating games and was going to make a ton. Some did fine, some did bad, and overall, he wasn't a massive developer. So for the first 3 years in game after game, he didn't really have much to show for it. But 2014 would change everything, because that's when he would launch the original Giant Survival, which was an instant hit and it would go on to gain over 50 million visits. This was one of his first big breakthroughs, after years of trying, so he knew he had to make a part 2. 2 years later, in 2016, he published Giant Survival 2, a more polished version with new features. The game did well, getting over 11 million visits, but it struggled to gain the same success as the first one, and that marked the end of the Giant Survival series. Until out of nowhere in 2019 where it was recreated, and that's the version most people know today. However, Preston by this point in 2019 built an empire with his game studio Big Games, and during this period they were remastering and launching a ton of games, one of which being another pet simulator, which if you somehow aren't aware of, is one of the biggest game series in all of Roblox, with the current one having almost 2 billion visits, and the one before that having over 8.8 billion visits. Big Games also has a ton of other active and popular games. So what it seemed like happened was that this project wasn't taken as seriously as the others, and since the others became way more popular, they decided to focus more time on that instead of reviving this game and keeping it going, which is why Giant Survival died out. And now, even passionate players are letting the game go, even if they're sad about it, since they know they'll probably never get an update ever again. If you thought this story was crazy though, we're only getting crazier as the video goes on. Guesty was launched in 2020 and has amassed almost 100 million visits, but it only averages around 100 players nowadays, which isn't bad, but it used to average thousands. Guesty has similar gameplay to Piggy, where a player is a killer and the other players try to escape. And when it launched, this style of game was super hyped, so it exploded on launch, but now, it has lost its audience and is dying out. Unlike some games that die out to just being old or the devs abandoning it, Guesty is still receiving updates, so to see why this game has died out, I joined in to question the players still left playing. Most people ignored me since they were busy playing the game, however, there was actually a trading server where a player was open to an interview.
How long have you been playing this game?
Maybe 1 year, or more.
Why do you think it died out?
Cause they didn't make events, or update the map.
Are you sad to see it die out?
Yeah, I put a lot of money and I played this for years and now it's dead.
So what it seems like happened is that, even though the game is still being updated, the updates don't add enough so players still lose interest. And like they mentioned, it seems like core parts of the game like maps don't get changed much. So even if there are new elements, most people have lost interest and there's nothing crazy enough to get them to start playing again. Another interesting thing this player mentioned is the money aspect. It seems like most players left either invested too much time, money, or both to just stop playing. So most casual players have lost interest and moved on, but more dedicated players stayed, even if they're not happy with the state of the game. Other players I've talked to share these same ideas.
How long have you been playing the game?
Like 5 somewhat years.
Wow, why do you think it died?
The updates, I think.
Once again, a player who's been playing for years is saying that the updates cause the game to die. He then further going to explain why, and it gives us a good understanding of why this game is in a rough state.
Do you think it'll get popular again?
Maybe, if they release Chapter 10. It's been 2 years.
The game still updates though. Are they just not good?
Nope.
So it seems like what happened is, this game does update, however, the updates people actually want, like a new chapters, don't really get added. And after waiting for years, most people just left and lost interest, which led to this game dying. And almost everyone I spoke to said they'd been playing for a while, so it's clear most people left are just people who spent too long on the game to let it go. There's not many new players really joining anymore. It's pretty sad when you think about it. A lot of these players just keep waiting year after year, hoping this game they love finally drops something exciting, and so far it seems like it's yet to happen. Let's dig deeper to see if we can get a true answer. This game was created by Nahid, who joined Roblox back in 2011. He'd been a part of a ton of successful projects and overall still developed for a lot of games. One of their personal most successful games though is Guesty, and as mentioned it's still being worked on and updated, but every year it just keeps losing more and more players. The game was just updated recently, but as we can see, all they really added was a new crate and skin. Nothing major that actually changes the gameplay, and the main thing people want being a new chapter, just is coming soon with no real release date. It seems like the players were right. The game is consistent, but not releasing major updates consistently, and in their peak, they failed to capture the attention of players, so the majority of people got bored and left. And over time now, with still not much major updates, players just keep leaving. And the only ones left now are players who've been playing and waiting for years for something new. Overall too, like I mentioned, the dev is part of projects all around Roblox, so they're probably constantly busy with other projects, which is why this game could have been ignored a bit. A sad ending, but our next is even sadder. Because we're talking about Wild Revolvers, a game which got over 100 million visits but only averages a few players every day, a lot of times even having 0 active players. The game launched back in 2017 and exploded on launch, but every year the game seemed to be worked on less and less, causing the player count to get lower and lower. After a few years, the game reached a point where it was unplayable. Then they came back, fixed it, and made it paid, and then made it free again. So it's had a super weird history, and throughout all this, most players lost interest and moved on. And now we're in another weird stage of the game where it's free and works fine, but isn't being updated, so the community is gone once again. Let's join in and find out the true reason for this game dying. Right away I noticed a major issue. You need several players to start, and since this game's so dead, even if I wanted to play, I couldn't. So even if players decided to play this game, there's not enough players to even start a match. Another reason why it probably has 0 active players a lot of the time. Eventually after waiting a while, some players joined in. The game is pretty simple. There's 2 teams and you each battle out with your revolvers. The game also has several different game modes, skins, and more.
How come you guys still play this game after it died?
You will respawn.
So this player was a bit confused, but I explained it further and this is what he said.
I don't know. I like it.
How long have you been playing?
Since day before yesterday.
This is kinda weird. Typically the only people left playing is people who've been playing for a while. This isn't even the first person to say this either. A lot of people I spoke to said they only played for a few days.
How did you discover this game if it's so dead?
Creecroft.
So a lot of new players are starting to play because of YouTubers, but since it's not being updated, they probably lose interest after a bit, and by this point, all the older players abandoned the game already, since it's been in a rough state for a while. Let's investigate deeper to find out what happened. The game was created by Novelty Studios, owned by No Alias, the founder who joined Roblox all the way back in 2008. Right away they had a hit game back in 2008 called Sword Champions, and this probably motivated his development journey going forward. This developer is insane, and once you look at his background, it becomes pretty clear why this game has died out, and was basically abandoned. If you look at Novelty Studios, they created and are part of so much major games totaling over 1.5 billion visits. Their biggest game being Untitled Boxing Game, which is over 770 million visits, and is still very popular. So as you can see, they launched a ton of projects, and obviously they tend to focus on ones that are more popular and more active, so it's not really worth for them to try reviving this game. However, they are actually working on a sequel to this game, so it seems like they accepted the first game has came and went, so they're trying to do the same style with the new game to see if it still does well, and only time will tell if it does. But once again, it seems to be a case of the developer abandoning a project and letting it die out to focus on their more popular and successful games. A pretty wild ending, but we're getting crazier as the video goes on. Because we're talking about Retail Tycoon, a game which has over 217 million visits but only averages around 50 players a day. It used to get thousands but has slowly died out every year. The game is now over 10 years old since it launched back in 2015, and the developer Hage125 has been on the platform for a while, joining back in 2008. This game exploded on launch and quickly gained an audience. After a year or so, it was already on over 3 million visits, but this was just a start. And from this point on, it blew up and went viral. Just 1 year after that, sitting on over 78 million visits, and it would then go on to get over 200 million visits over time. So how did a game this viral die out? Well, let's see what the players have to say. The game is literally probably what you think it is. It's a retail tycoon. You run your retail store and get money to expand and upgrade. The goal is just to get bigger and better over time.
Have you been playing for a while?
Off and on, yeah. Why you ask?
Why did this game die?
It's old, not trendy anymore. Other than that, I'm not sure. Games just die out over time. But it's kept a pretty decent following over the years.
This player has a good point. Unlike some games, it's not completely dead, and you can still find people playing, despite it being almost 10 years old now.
Does it still get updated?
Nah, not really. It's old, dev moved on.
It seems like the game also hasn't received much major updates, which could have made people lose interest. In Tycoon games, once you get far enough, you reach a point where there's not much to do anymore, and without many updates, people move on. These factors definitely contributed to this game dying, but if we dig deeper, there seems to be another major reason. As mentioned, the game exploded in the first few years, and continued its success for a while. This was the developer's first big breakthrough after years, and game after game, but eventually he had a tough decision to make. Around 2020 is when the game started to die. Every day it would just get less and less players. It was clear people were losing interest. By this point, the developer had been on the platform for over 12 years, and the game he spent 5 years on was dying in front of his eyes. But he wasn't quite ready to give up. He knew Retail Tycoon had potential, but it's old, and as time went on, it didn't stand a chance against modern Tycoon games. So he decided to remake it and add a ton to their game, the new game being Retail Tycoon 2. This was it. After years, if this game failed, the developer could have lost everything. But luckily, for him, it all worked out. This game also exploded since people already loved the concept. All the new elements made people enjoy this game even more. It currently has almost 280 million visits and is doing very well. And it seems to be the developer's main focus now. So what it seems like happened was the first game died out due to it being old and people getting bored. And instead of trying to revive it, the developer remade everything and found success again. A pretty good ending, but the same can be said for our next game. Because we're talking about our biggest game yet, being Zombie Rush, which is over 694 million visits, but it only averages around 100 players a day, which isn't bad, but it used to get thousands. Now it's just slowly losing players every year. Let's play and investigate the truth. Zombie Rush is your typical zombie game. You try to survive as long as you can, and it gets harder each round. You can also work on upgrades or even play as a zombie if you want.
Why do you guys think this game died?
No new content.
It doesn't get big updates.
Nope.
So once again, it seems like a game where the developers aren't adding enough new content to keep the players engaged.
Are you sad it died?
Yep.
How long were you playing?
Years.
It seems like a lot of players left are people who've already been playing for years and are just coming back because they're bored.
Did you expect it to die?
Now.
How come you still play?
Bored.
That's kinda sad you witnessed the game die.
Definitely.
It is pretty sad. All these players have been playing for years, saw the game die, but still play since they've been already playing for years. As for why it died out, this player explained it perfectly. It doesn't really get much major updates, and when they do update, it seems to be small stuff. As for the owner, Beacon, they've been on the platform for over 10 years, and this is the biggest game they own. It does seem like they are trying new stuff though, so potentially they're getting bored of Zombie Rush. Another problem could also be timing. It probably takes the developers a long time to make major updates, so they're probably in a position where they can't update it as much as they hope to, which sadly left this game slowly dying out. If you thought those stories were crazy, next we have Roblox games that were forgotten. Build It has over 66 million visits, but hasn't been updated since 2023. The game has also died out, only averaging around 50 players a day. It used to average thousands. Many players have forgotten about this game over time, and it seems like the developers also abandoned it and moved on. The game was launched in 2020 by the Roblox Build It group, founded by the dev V2 Zombie. This game would explode on launch, getting over 8 million visits in its first year, and from this point on it would just grow bigger and bigger. By the end of 2021, the visits would double to over 20 million, and over time it would reach over 66 million visits. So how did a game this viral and popular die out and become forgotten? To understand what happened, I joined in hoping to see who was still playing, and to see if the remaining players knew what happened to the game. The game itself is pretty simple. There are 3 game modes, but the main concept is a build battle. All players are given a topic and have to build it. After some time, everyone votes and whoever gets a high score wins. But you can also just free build or play against pro opponents.
How long have you been playing this game?
5 days, I think.
This is already weird. Most people I spoke to said this as well, that they're recent players. Typically, forgotten and dead games only have old players left who've been playing too long to let the game go. The more I spoke to this guy though, the more it made sense.
How did you discover it?
Just found it.
On the home page?
Yeah.
Do you care that the game's dead or do you just like free build?
I just like having fun building, so I like free build.
This seems to be the reason why the game is maintaining players and gaining new ones. Despite being forgotten by a lot of old players, what it seems like happened is that many stopped caring about the main game mode, but enjoy the free build game mode, and many new players also enjoy it since it's easier and less restricting. This answers some of our questions, but it's still a mystery why it was forgotten, so let's investigate deeper to see why the developers abandoned this project and let it become forgotten. Builder was the developer's V2 Zombies' first big breakthrough on Roblox, so he continued working on it for a few years while it was just growing bigger and bigger. But after a bit, he ran into a problem. He was still working on the game, but it was dying and started losing players, potentially due to the fact that the game is quite repetitive. There are different game modes, but the main game mode is just the same thing over and over again, so he had a decision to make. He could either try to save the game, or work on new projects that have potential to do better. This was a big decision because at this point, this was his biggest game, and he could potentially be risking his entire Roblox career. But as you can guess, he took a risk and started to focus on new projects. He would create a new group and going to launch 3 new games, all of which blew up and are performing pretty well. 2 of the games have already gotten more visits than Build It, so what it seems like happened was that people were starting to forget about the game and losing interest, and instead of trying to revive it, he instead moved on as well to focus on other projects. This did cause the game to die out, but it worked out for the developer since he has more successful games now. A pretty good ending, but the same can be said for our next game. The Plaza has over 124 million visits, but has been completely forgotten over time. It only averages around 5 active players, and a lot of time even has 0. This is a developer, Wigian, who launched the Plaza all the way back in 2016, 9 years ago. It was a huge hit and an overall iconic game, but every year it just became more forgotten and more dead. And we're now at a point where only a few people play every day, compared to the thousands they used to average. Let's join and see who's playing, and see if they know what happened to the game. Firstly though, the Plaza is a roleplay and open environment game. You can get a condo, customize it, get cars, buy a bunch of items and so much more. It's like a real life simulator. They also had mini games such as Plaza Carts and Infection, so it's almost an all-in-one game. You can do anything you wanted.
How long have you been playing the game?
First time I played it was way back in 2017. Was bored, so I just joined now.
So like usual with these forgotten games, most of the players left are people who've been playing the game for years, so it's hard for them to just forget about it and let go. It's kinda sad, and the more I talked to this player, the sadder the conversation got.
Why do you think it died and became forgotten?
Lack of updates and the overall growth of the platform, and many other games.
A pretty good point. The Plaza when I first launched was new and exciting, but nowadays there are a million roleplay type games just like this.
Around the time I played this, Jailbreak was one of the largest games as it was pretty new.
Are you sad to see it become forgotten?
A little, but games and Roblox come and go.
Wow, so you saw it become forgotten and die out.
Yeah.
How come you never forgot about it? Too much memories.
One of the first games I played, so it's always been in the back of my mind.
So a lot of these players have been just playing for so long. They saw the game get forgotten and die out, but they have memories attached to the game. So unlike everyone else, they didn't really forget and still joined back to relive some of those memories they had. Unfortunately, the game was far from the state it was in at the time, so it's hard to do that.
Do you wish it was still active?
Yeah. Games aren't fun when there's no one in them.
These players saw a game go from super active, thousands of players and had so much fun, to now a quiet Roblox game that's become forgotten, often not even having any players at all. Let's investigate deeper to see why this game is in this state. The developer joined all the way back in 2012 and after a few years started launching a bunch of games, which all did pretty well, and it showed him how much potential his games had, so he kept going, just launching game after game. He didn't have a super viral game just yet, but all those games performed quite well. He used all his knowledge to then launch the Plaza in 2016, not knowing this would change his life forever. The game would explode on launch, hitting the front page and getting thousands of active players. The dev would keep the momentum going by adding new updates, which has made the game grow bigger and bigger. But then after 2 years, the developer made some decisions that started to cause the game to die out. He started making the Plaza 2, a more improved version, which was met with mixed reviews. Then he cancelled this project to continue it under a new name being Plaza X, and all these games didn't perform that well. And overall, the Plaza stopped being updated as much, so a lot of people forgot and moved on. Nowadays, the developer just works on random games and hasn't really found the same success as the Plaza, and it seems like by this point, it's too forgotten and dead to revive. A sad ending, but our next story is even sadder. because we're talking about Bunny Island Theme Park, a game which has over 56 million visits, but it has been completely forgotten and abandoned. Almost no one plays this game anymore, and even the developer abandoned this project in 2018. I joined in hoping to find out what happened, but there was no one playing. It was just me alone, so I just waited until somebody finally joined. Bunny Island Theme Park is a game in which you work on a theme park with other players, with the goal of making your theme park popular. You can also furnish your house and work jobs for money.
How long have you been playing?
For this game?
Yeah.
Almost 10 years, I think.
So once again, most of the players left are people who've been playing this game for a while. In this case, this players were around since basically the beginning.
Why did it become forgotten and die out?
Because there's a new version of this game.
I see. Are you sad this got abandoned?
Pretty much, yes.
How come you still play?
'Cause I just wanna play still, for my memories.
So it seems like the only ones left playing are people who've had too many good memories with the game to just forget about it and let it go. Also, apparently this seems to be a new game. So let's dig deeper to see what happened. This is the developer, the coder Bunny, who ran Roblox all the way back in 2008, 17 years ago. They were quiet for the first few years and eventually launched their first game, which did pretty well first time, getting over 1 million visits. Then a few years later, he launched Bunny Island, which changed everything. This game blew up when it launched. It launched early 2015, and by the end of 2015, it had already gained over 5 million visits. But this was just the start. A year later, it would have 27 million visits, and then eventually reach over 55 million visits. But after a bit, every year the game started losing players, and by 2018, it had kind of died out and became forgotten. Also by this point, the developer abandoned the project and hasn't been updated since. But around 2018 is when they launched a new game, which seems to explain everything. In 2018, he launched Thrill Island Theme Park, using everything he learned from Bunny Island to make a better and more polished game. This game also blew up and did very well, gaining over 30 million visits and still some active. It had died out too, but not as bad as Bunny Island. The dev also worked on this more recently, so it seems to be their main focus. A crazy ending, but our next is even crazier. Source for Fighting Simulator has over 59 million visits, but has died out and became forgotten over time, now only averaging around 20 active players. It used to average thousands of active players, but has become fully forgotten. Let's play and see what happened. Source for Fighting Simulator is a game in which you train to work on your powers and become stronger. There's also 7 different roles, boss fights, maps, and more.
How long have you been playing the game?
Yes.
How long?
Yes.
Why did it die out and become forgotten?
Yes.
This player seemed a bit confused, so I went to ask him others.
How long have you been playing this game?
Around 5 years.
Why did it die out and become forgotten?
I think because the game didn't update very often, and people got bored.
So it seems like a lot of players left and got bored due to the game not being updated that much. There wasn't enough major updates to keep players engaged. Also with games like these where the main goal is just getting stronger, at some point without updates it just feels like doing the same thing over and over again.
Is the dev working on a new game still?
I don't think so. The last update was pretty long ago.
How come you still play?
I used to play it a lot.
Are you sad to see it become forgotten?
I saw the game again somewhere and started playing again. Yes, I'm pretty sad.
Do you think there's a chance this game comes back, or is it over?
If an update is made, I definitely think it will get popular again.
As we can see, a lot of the players left are people who've been playing for so long and still believe in the game, but with just not much major updates, a ton of players moved on and forgot about it. Let's dig deeper to see if there's an answer. This game was created by Marmdev, who joined Roblox all the way back in 2010. Once you look at his Roblox games, the answer becomes pretty clear. Marmdev has created a ton of huge and successful games. He was the original creator of Anime Fighting Simulator, which had over 1.3 billion visits. This could explain why he's not been updating as much, and it also shows that he's busy with other projects. Also though, apparently he is working on a sequel to this game, but as players said, it's been so long now that they don't even know if it's still releasing. So overall, it died out over time and became forgotten, probably due to a lack of major updates, and instead, the dev decided to potentially make a new game or just focus on other projects. Our next story is even crazier though. Snow Shoveling Simulator has over 136 million visits, but has become forgotten over time. It averages around 50 to 100 active players, which isn't bad, but used to average thousands. It has been forgotten over time by a ton of players. The developers also don't work on it and update it much anymore. The last update was over a year ago. How did a game this popular get forgotten? Well, I hopped in hoping to see if I can get an answer. The game itself was pretty simple. You shovel snow and sell it to earn money. With money you can buy better tools, and the goal is just to get better over time.
How long have you been playing this game?
Like 30 minutes.
How'd you discover it?
It was on my For You.
So once again, a lot of new players, which is pretty weird. But it's even weirder because everyone I spoke to said the exact same thing.
How long have you been playing this game?
Day.
New player.
In Roblox or here?
Here.
1 to 2 days.
Are you a new player too?
Yeah.
How'd you find the game?
I saw what games were in the menu.
So unlike typical forgotten and abandoned games, where the only players left are people who have been playing for a while, most people in this game are all new players. It seems like the game is being recommended still, so it has a decent audience, but since this game wasn't updated much and is now kinda old, a lot of older players seem to have left and forgotten about it. Let's see what the dev's up to see if there's a reason why they abandoned the project. This is the creator, Lauderman23. who joined Roblox all the way back in 2008. Social Shopping Simulator was their first big breakthrough and launched back in 2017. They didn't know it, but launching this game would change their life forever and it would go insanely viral. By the end of 2018, in just 1 year, the game would already have over 80 million visits and have thousands of active players. And it would just grow bigger and bigger, now sitting at over 136 million visits. Every year though, the game just lost more and more players. It seems like people just got bored over time. With games like these, once you reach a certain point, there's not much left to do anymore. And it seems like there wasn't enough updates to keep the players coming back. And now it seems to not even be updated at all. So a lot of the older players forgot about this game and moved on, but it still does gain a lot of new players who are discovering the game for the first time. It seems like this game is in a constant cycle of new players playing it for a bit and then forgetting about it and moving on. But there's a constant flow of new players, so it keeps the game going. Next is an even crazier story, because we're looking at current popular games that are dying. Fish was open for testing back in August 2024, and eventually released a few months later on October 5th, 2024. This game would explode in popularity, and it quickly took over Roblox, and now sits at over 2.9 billion visits and not even a full year being out. After some time, this game was constantly averaging around 200 to 400,000 active players, but there's a problem. And now this number is starting to fall rapidly, going from 200 to 400,000 to now 70 to 80,000, around a 60% drop in players. And now many popular videos are being made on the game falling off. To understand what happened, let's ask the players. Firstly though, if you somehow aren't aware, Fish is a Roblox game in which, well, you fish. You can get better fish, fishing rods, unlock new locations, and much more.
Did you start playing this game recently or when it launched?
Like a few weeks ago.
Do you know why the game is falling off?
Well, people just got bored of grinding.
This player has a good point. In games like these where you just keep grinding to get better, a lot of people probably got bored and tired, so they stopped playing. Also, when a game goes this viral, there's going to be a ton of people who play only to see what the hype's about, and if they don't enjoy it, they just forget about it and move on. However, Fish is another major problem which caused the game to decline, so let's investigate deeper to find the truth. This is the creator, Woozy Nate, who joined Roblox back in 2016. He started launching a ton of games in 2020, but a lot of these were eventually cancelled or just didn't perform well. Game after game, failure after failure, it was looking like his time as a developer was coming to an end. However, he did actually have a game do very well called Vibe Bar, which got over 680,000 visits. Even though this game was huge, he did actually cancel working on it. See, Woozy Nate didn't really create games for money or to get a ton of visits. A lot of these were just passion projects of his, and when he didn't enjoy it anymore, no matter how popular it was, he moved on. And that's exactly how Fish started back in 2024. It was a passion project, and he independently did every aspect of the game, building, scripting, modeling, everything. He was working on this slowly, not knowing this project would end up changing his life forever. As mentioned, it launched on October 5th, 2024, and exploded in popularity, now sitting at over 2.9 billion visits. The dev, Woozy Nate, had made it. His game was taking over Roblox at a speed never seen before, but just after a month of release, he had a tough decision to make, and this decision ultimately caused the downfall of the game. Woozy Nate was approached by Do Big Studios to partner with, a massive studio who owned a ton of popular games. They would pay him a bunch of money and he would still be the owner of the game. However, they would take over the development of the game, while Woozy Nate would be more on the side to help out and give feedback. Woozy Nate could either take a bunch of money and partner with them, or continue solo on this passion project. But since the game grew so popular so quickly, he eventually decided to partner with them to help support the game. This concerned the community, as Dubig is known for partnering with games and ruining them by making them pay to win. But Woozy Nate assured everyone that this wouldn't happen. But sadly, this wasn't true, and all the pay to win aspects seemed to be slowly killing the game. They started adding luck boosts and then adding bundles, which gave even crazier luck boosts, and they even added gifting features so people can buy this multiple times and increase the luck even more. They even added limited skins, loot boxes, and so much more. The game got filled with pay to win aspects and microtransactions. This caused a lot of the players to leave. It also made the game less special to players since, with the boosts and such, nothing felt rare or special anymore. Even players who aren't aware of the Do Big takeover recognize this.
Did the game become pay to win?
Kinda.
Do you think the new owners are ruining the game?
Well, I didn't know there were new owners.
Overall, this game went viral and quickly switched into a game filled with microtransactions, and even though it is still performing well, it seems to be dying as lost a ton of players. A crazy ending, but we're only getting crazier as the video goes on. Blade Ball has over 5 billion visits, but has been slowly dying out over time. It went from averaging 100 to 200,000 players to now around 25 to 30,000 active players, and seems to just be getting lower as time goes on. How did a game this viral and popular start to die out? Well, let's ask the players to see what happened.
Why do you guys think this game is dying?
Don't know.
The game is good.
So overall, players themselves seem a bit confused too. Most people I spoke to said this as well.
Why is this game dying?
I don't know.
Let's investigate deeper to see why this game is slowly losing its players. Blade Ball was launched in late 2023 by Chunch and co-owner Vido. Chunch joined Roblox back in 2016 and Vido all the way back in 2012. Both seemed to just be working on random projects for years but didn't have a huge game themselves. So eventually they teamed up to create Wiggity Game Studio, not knowing this would change their lives forever. In 2023, they began working on Blade Ball, a pretty simple game in which players hit the ball to each other and you have to react to deflect it in time. If not, you die and the last one standing wins. There's also different game modes such as teams. The event was launching it near the end of 2023, and to their surprise, it exploded and went extremely viral. By the end of 2023, it already had over 2.6 billion visits and hundreds of thousands of active players. It became the quickest game in Roblox history to reach 1 billion visits, only taking around 50 days. But as time went on, it grew less and less popular, and also started to gain more and more hate. What happened? Well, this game had the same fate as the last game. Once again, this game was owned by Do Big Studios, and they went down the pay-to-win route, but this time way worse. Loot crates for crazy odds, limited skins, gambling, and so much more. If you go to their own group, many are commenting on how the game is essentially just a casino now, as well as a pay-to-win. They became notorious for how pay-to-win the game became and are constantly involved in drama, and that seemed to cause the game to slowly die. Also in general, the gameplay is typically the same thing over and over again. There aren't enough changes to make the gameplay feel new and fresh, so a lot of people probably got bored as well. Blade Ball still maintained popularity for a while, but our next story is a very recent game that is already dying. Pets Go was launched on October 11th, 2024, and exploded on launch, now sitting at almost 850 million visits. The big launch was due to it being launched by already popular game studio, Big Games, who's behind the Pet Simulator series and other popular games. Speaking of which, this game uses the same X system and pet system from Pet Simulator, but in an RNG game style format. You keep rolling to try and get better and rarer pets, you can also work on upgrades and much more. And unlike the other games on this list, it isn't dying due to pay-to-win elements. We know this because Big Games is literally known for doing this, so everyone already expected it. The question now is, why is it dying? Well, before we look into it, let's ask the players if they know.
You played Pets Go since the start.
Yeah.
Have you noticed the game dying?
Not that much people are playing it.
Why do you think it's dying?
Well, since there's Pet Simulator 99 and Pets Go, there's gonna be more players in those two new games they made.
This player made a good point. Pets Go is another edition of the Pet Simulator franchise, so because of that, a ton of players from Pet Simulator probably came to this game, and when they eventually got bored or just didn't like the new game, they went back to Pet Simulator. Due to how popular Pet Simulator and Big Games are, a drop is kind of expected since a lot of early players probably just play to see what the hype's about. However, this doesn't explain why it keeps dying, and not maintaining a strong audience. So I asked the other player who was spying on this conversation.
Why do you think this game's dying, Blue Hair?
Me?
Yeah.
Bad update than Pet Simulator 99.
This seems to be the case. The initial draw was probably due to people just seeing what the hype's about and leaving, but the ones who liked it stayed and kept playing. However, the updates weren't good enough to keep people engaged for that long, so they kept leaving as well. Other players I spoke to said this as well.
Have you noticed it losing players?
Yeah, with each update.
Why do you think it's dying?
I think this game had potential, but its updates were always worse than Pet Simulator 99, so why would people play?
So a lot of players just think the updates weren't good enough and not as good as their other games, but if we investigate deeper, there seems to be another major reason. This game kinda came out of nowhere and is a bit random for Pet Simulator. Usually they just remake the original game and add new stuff, which is what they've been doing, but this game was kind of a spin-off. As mentioned, it's Pet Simulator's version of the RNG game. The original name was even Pet RNG. This game was most likely launched to capitalize on the recent rise of RNG games, such as Souls RNG. To hop on the trend, they made this game. This could also explain why it's dying quickly. Trend games just typically die with a trend, and the RNG trend has been dying over time. The players noticed this as well.
Do you think they were just hopping on the RNG trend?
Yeah, for sure, Souls was going crazy. That's why I play this game, because I enjoy RNG games.
So you only play cause you enjoy RNG games?
I still enjoy the marketplace, but I don't really play the main game that much.
This player also potentially explained why some players stuck around. A lot of people spend so much time collecting that they still want to trade or do something with their items, even if they don't enjoy playing anymore. To be fair, it is still very early, and if you start adding better updates, it could revive the game. The same can be said for our next game though. I'll Be Where You're on a Bike has gotten over 1.5 billion visits and took over Roblox when it launched. Since the success of this game, there's now an Obby But You're on a Blank for just about everything. They took the classic Obby format that we've seen on Roblox, added a unique twist to it, and was simple and fun. It was averaging 60 to 80,000 active players just after a few months, but now it only averages around 5,000 concurrent players a day, around a 90% decrease. How did a game this viral with so much impact die out? Well, let's see what the players have to say. At first, no one's even talking to me since everybody was focused on the game, so I tweeted out to find a player to interview.
How long have you been playing?
I have been playing since World 3 came out, and stopped at World 15 update.
Why do you think this game is dying out?
It's pretty much the same thing over and over again, getting boring.
Did you quit because you got bored?
Yeah.
So it seems like a lot of players got bored and moved on, since it's the same thing over and over again. They did add new worlds and modes, but it's still the same concept. It's just a obby, and each new world and level just increased the difficulty. It didn't really add anything new and fresh. Also, since this game was going viral, there was a rise in competition. So a lot of people potentially played other games instead since you provided something new and exciting.
Were the updates not good enough?
I mean, they were good but weren't like massive.
I see, just got repetitive.
Yes.
And like I said, they were adding a lot of stuff, but it was just more of the same. The game got too repetitive over time. When it launched, it was super hype and fresh, but over time it stopped feeling like that.
Do you think this game will come back?
Well, I don't see it coming back. But if they had something else to do, maybe it would have a spike.
It also seems like most players don't think the game will come back. We know why this game is dying out, but how did this game even come to this point? Well, the history is very confusing. The creator of this game seems to be Samuel, who launched it on August 14, 2023. Samuel said he also worked on it with BuzzDevs, who mentioned that Dubik Studios was also part of the project. Now here's the weird part. Samuel no longer seems to be associated, as he's now only a member of the group, not the owner, and Dubik Studios also doesn't have the game listed on their website, so potentially this game was sold early on and switched teams. But besides all that, this game was a huge viral hit on launch. Just less than a month after launch, it already hit over 100,000 concurrent players, and would eventually go on to get over 1.5 billion visits. But due to many factors, it just kept losing players over time, and it since kinda died out. The story is a weird ending, but our next is even weirder and crazier. Because we're talking about Rainbow Friends, which is over 4.2 billion visits but has been dying out over time. This game started slowly, after a bit getting a few hundred active and getting over 100,000 visits. But from this point on, it exploded. By the end of that year, it hit 1 billion visits and had tens of thousands of active players. It was taking over Roblox and seemingly the entire world. Everyone was talking about this game, and it's one of the most viral Roblox games we've ever seen. You go to Roblox and see Rainbow Friends. You go to YouTube and see Rainbow Friends. Even in person, all people were seeing was Rainbow Friends. But over time, it became less hype and started getting less and less players. How did a game this viral start to die? Well, let's hop in and see what happened.
How long did you play?
Since Chapter 1.
What happened to the game?
There's Chapter 2, and no Chapter 3.
It stopped updating.
Yes.
This seems to be the answer, and it's pretty well known now that for some reason this game was kind of abandoned. The major updates in this game are chapters, like the person mentioned. The last chapter was released on June 2nd, 2023, so it's been a long time. Why would they abandon a game that was this viral? Well, if you look at the owner's history, the answer becomes clear. One of the creators behind this is Roy Stanford, who joined Roblox all the way back in 2008, and his history is crazy. Roy Stanford is behind some of the biggest and most iconic Roblox games of all time, including Rainbow Friends, and he constantly abandons his projects no matter how big they are. His first big hit was Redwood Prison, with almost 300 million visits. Then he moved on to Baker's Valley, which got over 190 million visits. If this already wasn't crazy enough, surprisingly it only gets crazier, because after this he launched Spider, the 47th most visited Roblox game of all time, sitting at over 2.6 billion visits. Despite how popular these games all were though, he abandoned all of them, including Spider that hasn't been updated in years. Now, it isn't confirmed that Rainbow Friends isn't going to update, they're potentially working on a new chapter, but it's clear Roy Stanford isn't scared to move on, even if his games get billions of visits. Sadly with this though, a lot of players get left in the dark just waiting, and they're really starting to lose hope.
Do you think everyone else got bored?
Yeah, I think so.
Will this game get revived or is it over?
Over.
Also with him abandoning games, a lot of them die out since there's a lack of new content, and that's what's currently happening to Rainbow Friends. Those stories were crazy, but these next ones are even more wild, cause there's more Roblox games that are dying. A Dusty Trip was launched in early 2024 by the developer Dixmean. It started off slow, but to their surprise, their TikToks on the game are going viral, so it started to gain some traction. It started gaining a few thousand active, then 10,000, and eventually was averaging around 50 to 100,000 active players, now sitting at over 1.6 billion visits in just over a year. This game took over Roblox, but that wouldn't last for long, and every month the game just started losing more and more players, from averaging around 50 to 100,000 to now averaging around 10,000 active, around an 80% decrease. To understand what happened, let's ask the players. Firstly though, if you aren't aware, a Dusty Trip is a game in which your objective is to make it as far as possible. You spawn in and build a car, and you drive for as long as you can while encountering obstacles and buildings on your journey.
How long have you been playing a Dusty Trip?
2 years.
Oh wow, so since the start.
Pretty much, yeah.
Have you noticed the game losing players?
Yes.
How come?
Everything cost money.
So it seems like due to the game adding a bunch of monetization, players got sick of it and left. Let's investigate deeper to find the truth. This game was created by Dixmean alongside some other developers. They were all fans of another game called The Long Drive and heavily inspired a Dusty Trip. When it launched due to the TikToks, the game already had an audience and it continued blowing up from this point on. This was their first real big breakthrough, so it was a surreal moment for everyone involved. But it wouldn't last for much longer. Just after a month, the developer would make a huge mistake, which eventually explains the game's downfall. They were approached by another popular developer, Jandel, who wanted to buy the game for $20,000. This was life-changing money to the developers, and since they're all young and inexperienced, they accepted the offer. They didn't have a way of receiving the money though, so they agreed on 5 million Robux instead. The developers weren't top of the world. They had a viral game and sold it for life-changing money, but sadly, the developers would end up regretting this. Just after a few months after Jandel took over is when the game really started going viral. See, Jandel does this a lot, and he's involved in a ton of projects such as Grow a Garden, Wacky Withers, and much more. However, Jandel and his team also heavily monetized this game by adding limited skins, loot boxes, and much more, which a lot of players hated and think ruined the game. As you saw, players recognize this and don't like it. After seeing how successful the game became, and also how people think it got ruined, the original developers started regretting selling it. Firstly, these developers actually lost all their money. In a TikTok, they explained that the account that had the 5 million Robux ended up getting terminated. So not only did these devs sell their viral game, they also lost all the money with it as well. They then made more sad TikToks saying they regret their decision and missed the game. On a brighter note, they are working on a new similar game, so these devs still have motivation to try again. Only time will tell if they have another hit game. Overall, we've seen this happen a lot in the past, where games get bought and ruined by the new owners. Fish is a good example of this, where players got sick of all the pay-to-win elements so they stopped playing, and that game is dying out. Another reason can be the game getting repetitive. There's an incentive to keep playing to try to get a high score, but once you get far enough, there doesn't seem to be much to do anymore. The player I spoke to confirmed this.
Are you sad to see it dying, or did you expect it?
I thought it would last a bit longer, but these games get boring.
They have added maps, game modes, and more to try to make the game feel more fresh, but in the end of the day, the concept never really changes. So many people probably got bored and left, in combination with all the heavy monetization. Sadly too, it seems like players give up hope for this game.
Do you think this game will come back?
Probably not. New ones like this keep coming out.
This player brings up another potential reason. Due to the rise in popularity of this game, a ton of knockoffs have been made. However, these attract an audience since players who got bored play these instead, since it offers something new and fresh. A pretty crazy story, but our next story is even crazier. Because we're talking about Bed Wars, which is over 10.4 billion visits, but it's been slowly dying out over time and losing players, going from around 70,000 to now averaging around 20,000 concurrent players, around a 60 to 70% decrease. How does a game this big and popular die out? Well, let's ask the players to see what happened. Bed Wars is a game in which you defend your bed from other players, and the goal is to destroy everyone else's bed and be the last one standing. You can get upgrades, kits, there's different game modes, and much more.
You've been playing Bed Wars for years.
Yeah.
Have you noticed it losing players over time?
Yeah.
What's happening?
Because it's getting repetitive and people are growing up.
This player made a good point. This game has been around for a few years now, and despite different game modes, kits, and more, the concept of the game never really changes. So it seems like over time more and more people just got bored and moved on. Let's investigate deeper to see if there's another reason. This game was made by the Easy.gg game studio back in 2021. Early on in the beta release, the game already had a ton of hype, averaging over 10,000 players and already getting over 200,000 visits. See, this game was heavily inspired from an iconic Minecraft minigame called, well, Bed Wars, and since this was a recreation along with unique aspects, it attracted a large audience who remember the Minecraft version. From this point on, the game exploded and took over Roblox. It's the 9th most visited game on all of Roblox, but despite growing into one of the biggest games on Roblox, it's just been losing more and more players every year. Another reason could be the updates. The game does update frequently, but if the players don't like them, it's only ruining the game even more.
Are the updates not good enough?
Meh, they're mid.
Overall, it seems like over time people just got bored due to how repetitive it is and moved on. Even with new stuff, the concept is the same thing over and over again, and the updates probably didn't add enough to get them excited to play again. This game still kept a strong fan base, but our next game's fan base is turning on them. Royal High is a roleplay game that has over 10 billion visits, but the game is fully dying out. This game used to be everywhere, but it's kind of disappeared. It went from averaging 70 to 100,000 active players to now only averaging around 5,000, a over 90% decrease. But it gets worse. The game used to get a ton of likes compared to dislikes as usual, but now if we look, it's getting more dislikes than likes every day, and the like percentage is rapidly dropping. So not only is this game fully dying out, but the community also seems to be turning on the game. Where did it all go wrong for Royal High? Let's see if the players have the answer.
How long have you been playing Royale High?
I don't really play much, but I joined it since 2017.
Have you noticed the game dying over time?
Yeah, since I saw videos over controversy over the game.
What went wrong?
It was probably cause of some deleted stuff or some deleted badges of people that was made for them.
So it seems like the game's been involved in a ton of drama. Let's investigate to find the truth. Royal High was made by Call Me Bob, who joined Roblox all the way back in 2007. Early on, they launched some random games that showed they had a passion for development. Overall though, they remained pretty quiet for the first few years and didn't have a viral game. It would take 10 years since he joined for them to work and launch Royal High, not knowing this would change their life forever. It would explode on launch. In just 1 year, the game already had 10,000 active players and over 200 million visits. Even though it was just a roleplay game, they had super unique customization that no other Roblox game had, so it clearly stood out. The developer was on top of the world, and Royal High would go on to become one of the biggest Roblox games ever made, sitting at over 10 billion visits. The first few years, everything went great, but over time, the game started dying, and now the game's lost most of its audience. As the player mentioned, the game has a ton of drama within its community. One of the biggest turning points was when they removed a popular YouTuber's badge from the game. If you don't know, they have badges for meeting YouTubers. However, they removed Call Me Haley's badge for criticizing the game. And from this point on, a lot of YouTubers and players quit and started playing other games like Dress to Impress. This explains why the game's getting a bunch of hate and dislikes. It's because they treated their community poorly, so their community started turning on them. But there's more to why this game lost over 90% of its players. This YouTuber here explained that a lot of the updates started focusing on making the game look better instead of gameplay, so the updates didn't really make the game more fun. They also monetized a lot of stuff going forward, which made it annoying for new players to do much. Overall, due to bad updates, drama, and more, the community for this game has just been leaving, causing the game to fully die out. A crazy ending, but our next story is even crazier. because it's the at one point biggest game on Roblox, Adopt Me, a roleplay game where you can adopt other players, pets, trade, customize your home, and much more. This game has over 39.5 billion visits, but it's just been losing hype in players over time, constantly averaging over 100,000 concurrent players to now around 50,000. It's still not doing the worst, but every year it loses more players, and in general it gets talked about less in the Roblox community. It also lost its spot as the biggest game on Roblox to their competitors. What happened to this game over time? Let's see what the players have to say.
How long have you been playing Adopt Me?
For years. I honestly don't remember, but it's been a while now.
Have you noticed the game losing players over time?
Yeah, kinda.
What happened?
I honestly don't know.
So a lot of players recognize the game has been dying out over time, but don't really know what went wrong. So I asked some other players to see if they had an answer.
How long have you been playing Adopt Me?
About 3 years.
Have you noticed it lose players over the years?
Yeah, a lot.
Why? What happened?
People get scammed a lot, so they stop playing.
So it seems like Adopt Me is a major scamming issue, leading to many players quitting. Let's investigate. It all starts with the creator Newfissy, who joined Roblox all the way back in January 2011. For the first few years he was quiet, but eventually started releasing games. He would launch game after game, however most projects failed. Some did well, but overall he didn't have a big Roblox game just yet. And it would be like that for the next few years, but 2016 is where it started to shift. He had his first big hit in Treelands, and the next year, using everything he learned, him and another developer, B-Think, started working on Adopt Me, not knowing this would change their lives forever. In just a few months, the game would explode in popularity, getting over 10,000 constant active players and getting over 70 million visits. A year later, it would hit over 550 million visits. Every year, the game just kept growing bigger and bigger, largely due to updates adding crucial stuff to the game like pets. It eventually became the biggest game on Roblox. 2020, due to circumstances, was the peak of this game. It would always have over 400,000 active users. They were breaking records, breaking Roblox, and were unstoppable. But from this point on, every year, the game started losing more and more players. What the player said was true. Adopt Me does have a huge scamming problem, which probably caused a lot of players to leave. But also, it seems like over time, people just got bored and moved on. Adopt Me couldn't really maintain the hype and momentum from 2020. They did add a lot, but it seems like most people got bored of roleplay and such, which is what the game is built around. The game is really centered around trading now. Almost every single server you join, there's no roleplay happening, it's all just people trading. And then with the scamming issue, you see why so many players leave. Also, due to the rise in popularity, many think the game became a cash grab since they have so much stuff you can buy now. People got bored, scammed, or just lost interest over time, causing this game to lose its players. Our next game is another massive game that lost popularity. Because it's Doors, a game which has over 6.5 billion visits but has been losing players over time. It went from averaging 60 to 70,000 active players constantly to now around 10 to 15,000 players, around an 80% decrease. Let's see what the players have to say.
Have you been playing Doors for a while?
A little?
Have you noticed it losing players?
Yes.
What happened to the game?
Updates. Need more updates.
Did it get boring over time?
Yes. I stopped playing a year ago.
The answer here seems pretty obvious. Doors was launched in 2021 by two developers, Lightning Splash and Redibles. Before Doors, they both teamed up to make Ragdoll Universe. Their first hit together as the game got over 46 million visits. These guys clearly knew what they were doing, and also realized they work well together, so they used all their experience to create and launch Doors. They were already successful developers, but this game had grown bigger than they could have ever imagined. Right away it became a hit due to how unique it was, and it started going viral. It launched in 2021, and by the end of 2022, a year later, it already gained over 1 billion visits and had around 80 to 100,000 active players. Early on though, there's a huge problem. See, most Roblox games this big have an entire team of developers behind it, but Doors is only around 3 developers handling everything. At the start, it's just those 2 main developers doing everything, so they struggled to keep up with the demand, and their game started dying as they couldn't bring out updates quickly, and the cycle continued to where we are now. Doors still has barely had many major updates, and it takes them a long time to release major updates, and since the game is kind of the same thing over and over again, people got bored and moved on. To be fair, this game does always spike up when they eventually do update, but it's in a constant cycle of dying, getting some hype back, and dying again since the next update takes so long. Also, since they struggled to get on major updates when their game started going viral, they failed to keep everyone engaged, and most people probably just played to see what the hype's about and left. There also seems to be less hype for every update since people got tired of waiting, and when the update did eventually release, they already stopped caring about the game. If you thought those stories were crazy, we're only getting started. Up next, I explored the most hated Roblox games. Grow a Garden was launched in March 2025 and exploded in popularity right away. Just after a month, it surpassed over 1 billion visits and became the fastest game to do so, and now sits at almost 11 billion visits, and in less than 100 days is already in the top 10 most visited Roblox games of all time. However, this rapid success also brought in a ton of drama and haters. Whenever any news happens with this game, the comments are flooded hating on the game and the developers behind it. When the developers post anything, even unrelated to Grow a Garden, they get a bunch of hate. Tons of posts go viral hating on the game, and there's a large community out there who just hate on everything the game does. But why? Why is this game so controversial? To understand what happened, I logged into my secret account to ask the players. Firstly though, if you aren't aware, Grow a Garden is a game in which, well, you grow a garden. You can get better seeds and tools, potentially mutations on your crops making them more expensive, and more. The goal is to get the best and most expensive crops.
How did you find this game?
TikTok.
Do you enjoy it?
Yeah.
Why is this game so hated?
Because you do nothing and wait for seed to restock.
This player has a good point. This game has a limit on the amount of seeds you can buy, and they can randomly restock. But if it doesn't restock, the game requires a lot of waiting around doing nothing, which can be frustrating, especially for new players. But there's a ton of other reasons this game is hated, which other players told me about.
Scammers.
It's either the update sucks or
Some people think it's low effort.
Despite all these reasons, a lot of people are also confused.
Do you know why this game has so many haters?
I think it's because I can Roblox.
So let's investigate deeper to find the true answer. This is the original creator, BMW Lux, who made it alongside the help of Jandel. Grow Garden was destined for success, because these two developers before Grow Garden already had billions of visits. BMW Lux's game studio has over 560 million visits, and he's a part of a ton of viral games. And Jandel owns and is a part of popular games such as Field Trip Z, A Dusty Trip, Wacky Withers, and so much more. These devs clearly knew what they were doing, so they combined everything they both knew and created Grow Garden, which took over the entire world. In just a few months, not only is Grow Garden becoming the biggest game on Roblox, but it's officially the biggest game in the world, as it beat the highest concurrent record ever previously held by Fortnite. The developers are on top of the world, but with this much attention, it attracted a ton of haters and the game has become controversial. As the players mentioned, the game is hated on for a ton of reasons, but there seems to be 3 major reasons. Firstly, due to them constantly breaking player records and peaking at over 20 million players, a lot of players accuse them of botting their players, proven by the fact you can find a lot of bot servers. Anytime Grow Garden does anything, there's always a ton of comments saying the game is botted. So what's the truth? Well, the game is botted to an extent. We don't know how much of the player count is botted, but you can find and join bot servers. However, it doesn't seem to be the developers doing this like many believe. Firstly, to run that many bots would probably be super expensive and unrealistic to do. And secondly, a lot of these are run by people to sell the items. If you go on eBay, you can see people farm the items and sell them. This item here was sold over 1,000 times, meaning they made over $10,000 just from this one item. You can see why people had botting servers. But still, people believe the developers can be behind this due to the fact that private servers are free, and that we can't tell if those are botted or not since we can't see them. Ultimately, there's no clear answer, and people will forever call them out until it's proven otherwise. The second major reason people hate on this is the simplicity. Many people hate Grow Garden, saying it has no effort and lacks creativity, and saying it was made just to attract kids. And with it being so simple, many think it doesn't deserve the success, and other Roblox games should have blown up instead. Which leads into the third reason, being that people hate the game for it being a cash grab. This game has heavy monetization and some pay to win elements, like paying to grow all your crops, paying for a seed restock, and also a ton of cosmetics and loot boxes with seed packs. And many people hate Grow Garden for this, as they think the game is designed to exploit as much money out of people as they can. Overall, naturally with something this popular, people will hate. And even though posts go viral hating on the game, since the game is so popular, it only represents a small amount of the audience. And after interviewing players for a straight hour, most of them didn't even know the game was hated and didn't seem to care.
Are you aware of all the haters?
No.
Do you know why this game is so hated on?
No, why?
Why do people hate on this game?
I don't know.
Do you know why so many people hate this game?
No, I do not.
Do you know why this game is so hated?
It's hated?
If you thought this was crazy, we're only getting more controversial as the video goes on. Because next we're talking about Brainrot, a game that is taking over Roblox right now with over 1.3 billion visits. It was launched just over a month ago and already peaked at over 1 million concurrent players, and is the second most popular game right now, only behind Grow Garden. Once again though, this rapid success brought in a ton of haters. Every day a ton of popular posts are made hating on the game. It also has 14% dislikes. Games around this region typically have around 7%, so it's clear it's more hated than usual. Even on the official group there's a ton of hate comments. To find out why this game is so hated, let's play and see what the players have to say. The game is pretty simple. There's a conveyor where different Brainrot characters constantly run through, and it's your job to steal them. But other players can intervene and steal it from you and your base. Over time, these characters earn money, which you can use to steal and buy more characters, while also protecting your base from anyone trying to steal from you.
How'd you discover this game?
My friends.
Are you aware of all the hate surrounding it?
Yep.
Why do so many people hate on the game?
I don't know, maybe because the fact you have to spend all of the money.
So overall, it seems like the players know it's hated but don't exactly know why. I asked around some more to see if anyone had any reason.
Do you know why so many people hate the game?
Because it has Brainrot in here and it's mainly for 9-year-olds.
This player has a good point. This game is heavily catered to a younger audience, and apparently a large majority of Roblox players are teenagers or older, which could explain all the hate but success. Younger people like it and older players hate it. Let's investigate deeper to find the true answer. This is the creator, Spider Sammy, who joined Roblox back in 2021. He was quiet for the first few years and started really launching games in 2024. One of his first hits was Pixel Tower Defense, which got over 26 million visits. The developer had made it. He had a popular game, but this wouldn't last for long. For an unknown reason, the game was taken down. Later, the developer launched more games, but failed to find the same success as Pixel Tower Defense, and it was looking like his time as a developer was over. But that would all change in 2025, when he launched Brainrot, which took over Roblox and exploded in popularity right away. In just over a month, it became the 10th game in history to have 1 million concurrent players. But the rise to popularity has become quite controversial. Firstly, what the player said was true. A lot of players aren't fans of the Brainrot element and think the game is just low effort. With the rise of this game and Grow Garden, many are angry since they think that Roblox games are getting worse over time, game, and people hate the game as they feel it's low effort and just a cash grab. Speaking of Grow Garden, another reason this game is hated is because a lot of people think they just stole elements from Grow Garden. Grow Garden has a similar look, Grow Garden had a stealing feature before, and it has a similar earn offline feature similar to Grow Garden. Overall, games like Grow Garden and Steal a Brainrot are super controversial, but there's two sides to it. One side of people hating it, and overall not liking simpler games as they feel it's low effort, and think Roblox is getting worse over time since creative games don't get the same love. To make it worse, games like these keep popping up, which just makes them angrier. But the other side of players don't really care. All they care about is if the game is fun, which is why these games are so popular you have so many haters. Our next game, however, is way more controversial. Because we're talking about The Hood, which is over 2.7 billion visits, but it's one of the most controversial games on Roblox. You can just tell by the like to dislike ratio how controversial this game is. But why? The game is super popular, so why is it so hated? Let's join and see what the players have to say. If you aren't aware, The Hood is a roleplay type game in a gang environment, and players can either be criminals or cops, and much more. Now, this game is very hectic, and interviewing players was impossible. This is what happened when I finally found someone to interview.
How long have you been playing this game?
Only today I started.
Then I was shot by other players and the person I was interviewing brought me to safety.
Are you aware of all the haters?
Haters of what?
The game.
No.
It seemed like that was it, but then another player kidnapped me, so I tried interviewing them, but other players topped us yet again. This happened constantly. I would start talking to someone and people would come and raid the entire conversation before I could ask about the game. But finally I got some answers.
How long have you been playing this game?
Yes.
This conversation wasn't working out, but that's when someone else came in, inviting us to his gang, so I started interviewing them both, which started with me being threatened.
How long have you been playing this game?
I got a gun, so don't try anything.
Me 1 year.
Me 5 years.
Are you guys aware of all the haters?
Yeah.
Why is this game so hated?
Because Slender, main game.
What do you mean?
This is where all the Slender go, to be toxic and rude to noobs.
So it seems like the community for this game is toxic, which is why it's so hated. Let's investigate to see if this is the true answer. This is the owner, Benoxa, who joined Roblox all the way back in 2010. They were part of a ton of projects and in 2019 launched a Hood, which would blow up. Due to how unique it was at the time and all the action, it quickly started gaining millions of visits and getting thousands of players. By the end of the year, it would gain over 200 million visits, and over time, it now sits at over 2.7 billion visits. But there's a huge problem. The Hood wasn't able to maintain this level of success over the years, and every year it started losing more and more players, going from averaging around 20,000 players to now around 5,000. What went wrong? Well, what the player said was true. The community for this game is super toxic, and they're also known to bypass a lot with crazy audios. Most people deem this one of the most toxic Roblox games they ever played, and a lot of these comments were made early on when the game was starting to blow up, so it seems to just keep getting worse every year, leading to it becoming a super hated and controversial game. Most players hate it, but there's a small audience of people who actually enjoy the chaos. This game is super hated, but we're only getting more controversial as the video goes on. Up next is Souls RNG, which is over 1.2 billion visits. This game took over Roblox when it launched, but even at launch, it was super controversial, with many hating the game and the concept. Why did people start hating right away? Let's play and see if the players know. This game is very simple. The main concept is you click to roll and try to get better auras. That's it.
How long have you been playing Souls RNG?
A few days.
Why do so many people hate this game?
It's because they get nothing. Also grinding.
So it seems like due to the RNG concept of this game, some people hate it. This game is entirely luck based and requires a lot of grinding like the person said if you want rare stuff. The other players I spoke to confirmed this.
Are you aware of all the haters?
Yeah.
How come?
Some of my friends hate it because they don't like RNG.
Once again, another player said the RNG concept of the game is why it's hated. If you aren't aware, RNG stands for Random Number Generator, which is essentially what this game is, but instead, the numbers represent the different auras you collect. Let's investigate deeper to see if this is the truth. This is the owner, 54XYZ, who joined Roblox back in 2017, and prior to Souls RNG, they didn't really have a popular Roblox game. That also seems to go for everyone else involved in the project. So when they launched Souls RNG in 2023, they didn't know this would change their lives forever. This game took over Roblox, after some time constantly getting over 100,000 players, and getting millions of visits. These developers were on top of the world, but ever since this game started getting attention, it attracted a large audience of haters, and there seems to be two major reasons as to why. The first reason is what the player said. A lot of people hate the concept of this game. In fact, many people don't even consider it a game, since all you really do is sit there and click a button, or in most cases people just AFK and stand there. Due to the game becoming so popular, it became so controversial due to its lack of gameplay, and many just don't understand why it's popular and why so many people play it. And because of the concept, a lot of people can't stand playing the game for that long. But another reason this game is controversial is that people think it's encouraging gambling to kids. Now, it technically isn't gambling since you aren't spending money, but many feel as if the game is like an endless slot machine. People just there for hours rolling and rolling hoping to get better and rarer auras, which many think is exposing kids to the concept of gambling, and many think the game is exploiting players. So overall, the concept of this game is the main reason for the controversy. Some people don't think it's that big of a deal and love it, but a lot of people think it's really bad and hate it, and also think it's dangerous for kids. But our next game is even more controversial right now. Because it's Forsaken, a game that is going viral right now and has amassed over 1 billion visits, but there always seems to be constant drama surrounding the game and its community. To find out why, I joined to ask the players. The main concept of this game is one player is a killer, and the rest of the players have to try and survive by setting up all the generators. This game is very hectic, and no matter how hard I tried, for some reason, literally no one wanted to talk to me. Instead, I went around in Forsaken fan games to see what true Forsaken fans had to say.
Are you aware of all the hate surrounding Forsaken?
Yeah, sorta.
What's going on?
I don't know, all I know is that some people hate it. And maybe about the retro slop.
Retro slop.
Well, I don't know what retro slop is.
So it seems like players are aware of the game being hated, but they don't quite know why. But apparently it's something to do with retro slop. Let's investigate to find the answer. Now, the history for this game is very weird. The original creators were Soul Driven Love and Deerpilled, and this is where the controversy starts, because Soul Driven Love got called out and exposed for allegedly doing a bunch of horrible things, which caused them to leave the game and transfer ownership over to Basil and Haitoko. But then, out of nowhere, Soul sold the game to another new owner. So for this period of time, it was really confusing what was going on and who was going to own it. But finally, it seems like Haitoko and Basil are controlling it. Already, the developers had a bunch of controversy, but there's even more when it comes to the game itself. A lot of the hate seems to stem from the community, with many calling it very toxic. A lot of people actually like the game, but say they hate the community. And since there's so much drama and controversy within the community, it creates a ton of haters for the game. It seems like the community brings down the reputation of the game. Another point of drama is this whole retro slop thing like the player mentioned. If you're unaware of what this means, it's basically when players cosplay to look like an old and OG player, but ruin it by not doing it properly or using the wrong items. And this is tied in with Forsaken since many Forsaken players have been doing it, due to Forsaken having older Roblox characters, as well as Forsaken players constantly calling out people for having retro slop. In general, it's a very weird problem that's been going viral, and only adds to the controversy of Forsaken and its community, making more people hate the game and community. We're only getting crazier as the video goes on, because next I explored more abandoned Roblox games. Prison Life was launched back in May 2014 by the developer Aesthetical. The first year was pretty quiet, but 2015 is when it really started to take off, and no one knew at the time this game would change Roblox forever. In 2015 it hit the front page and started gaining a few hundred players. From this point on, the game would explode in popularity, and the developers kept updating it, fixing problems, and adding new stuff which kept players engaged. By 2019, it had reached over 1 billion visits and had thousands of active players. It now sits at 2.5 billion visits. But every year, this game seemed to be updated less and less, and eventually it reached a point where it was abandoned, causing it to lose most of its audience. What happened? Why would a developer abandon a game this viral? To understand what happened, I logged into my secret account to investigate and interview the players. Prison Life is a fairly simple game. There's criminals and cops. The goal is for the criminals to escape and for the cops to try and stop them. There's also a bunch more to do after escaping, such as getting cars, helping others escape, and much more. Right when I joined, there was already a huge problem. This game had so much exploiters in it, it was almost impossible to do anything. Eventually, I found someone to interview, but it didn't go as expected.
How long have you been playing this game?
This is not my main. I would say I played it for like 1 year on my main.
Do you know why it was abandoned?
And before he could answer, an exploiter out of nowhere shot me. He still gave me the answer after.
There is no updates at all in 2018.
So it seems like this developer stopped updating the game a few years ago, and because of that, the exploiting issue got worse. Another player I spoke to gave a similar answer.
How long have you been playing this game?
A long time.
Why did the dev abandon it?
He wants to enjoy his life and hackers.
Hackers ruined it.
Yup.
It got too much for the dev to handle.
It's hard to find a server without one.
So it seems like the exploiting issue got so bad that the devs just moved on. Not only from the game, but Roblox in general. Let's investigate deeper to see if this is the true answer. The creator Aesthetical joined Roblox back in early 2014. Prison Life was launched just 5 months after, and it's really one of the only games he's made during his time on Roblox. During the peak of this game, he did talk about making another game, but that never happened. After launching Prison Life, his life changed forever as the game started taking over Roblox. However, by 2017, fans noticed the game was being updated less and less, and eventually over time, the developer abandoned the project. Why? Well, what the player said was true. It seems as if he just wanted to enjoy his life. The old description for that game mentioned how he started university in 2017, which is why he couldn't spend much time on the game. So the developer just had other plans in life, which also explains why they're not that active on Roblox anymore. And now, the developer just comes online here and there to fix some glitches, but they're just focusing on life outside of Roblox. Overall, the developer abandoned the game, which caused more exploiters, which left this game to die out. A crazy ending, but our next story is even crazier. The normal elevator was launched back in early 2015 by a developer now to the Harlem Shake. Right when the game launched, it was an instant hit. 4 months later, it already had millions of visits and was being updated constantly. The developer was on top of the world, but this was only the start, and the game would blow up from this point on. A year later, it was on 24 million visits. The next year, hitting almost 100 million visits. It was growing at a rapid speed, and we're going to get 544 million visits over time. This developer had everything, but 9 months ago, something really weird happened. The developer randomly made the game uncopy locked, which now means anyone can download the entire game and do whatever they want with it. And this kind of marked the end of the game, as the developer abandoned it from this point on. What went wrong? Why would the developer just abandon the game and let anyone take it? Well, let's see if players have an answer. Firstly though, if you aren't aware, in this game everyone's put in an elevator, and every round they're transported to a new floor. Each floor has different scenarios, mini games, and much more.
How long have you been playing this game?
2 years.
What happened to it?
It stopped updating.
Why did the dev stop?
I don't know.
So many players know the game was abandoned, but don't exactly know why the developer did it. Other players I spoke to said the same thing.
How long have you been playing this game?
Maybe 2 years.
Why did the dev abandon it?
Honestly, who knows?
But then I realized something sad. Most of the people left playing are people who've already been playing the game for years. They saw it in its peak and saw it get abandoned, and it seems like most of them still play as they miss this time period and all the good memories they had with it.
Are you sad to see it abandoned?
Kinda.
Do you miss the game?
Yeah.
Players miss the game, and they've been kinda left in the dark as they don't know what caused it to be abandoned. So let's investigate deeper to see what the true answer is. The developer, now do the Harlem Shake, joined Roblox all the way back in 2013. Right away he started creating a ton of games, so it was clear he loved development. However, none of these games really took off. He launched game after game, and despite most of them failing, one would stand out, that being the Normal City, which would get over 1 million visits. With this popularity, he would continue the Normal series, next year launching the Normal Elevator, which actually started to go viral on accident, likely due to how unique the concept was at the time. And once he started taking the game seriously, it would change his life forever. But it wouldn't last forever. A few months ago, he abandoned the game along with making it uncopylocked so others can learn from it. No other reason was provided besides him just wanting to allow people to learn from it. But some speculate it's also due to Roblox's audio update. Around this time, Roblox changed audios forever, making all audios longer than 6 seconds private due to copyright issues, which ruined a lot of old and classic games, including the Normal Elevator. See, in the game with every level, along with the craziness, they typically play several audios, which was a core part of the game, but this was now ruined due to the new Roblox update. So it seems like due to the audio issue and in general the game getting old, the dev moved on, and even gave the game away so others can learn from it. They have since had another viral game in Shadow Boxing Battles, which has over 317 million visits. Weirdly though, this too seems abandoned, but the dev is working on other projects and is still finding success. A good ending, but the same can be said for our next story. Super Doomspire was launched back in late 2019 by developers Polyhex and Blue Tree Frog. It's based on the classic brick battle Doomspire, which was popular back in the early days of Roblox. The game is about being the last one standing, and doing this by destroying every other team's spawn points and killing them. Super Doomspire was a redesigned version of the classic game for the modern Roblox market, and it blew up. In just a few months, by the end of the year, it had millions of visits and thousands of active players. The game would continue blowing up from this point on as they kept updating it, now having over 217 million visits. But despite the success, players started to notice something. Every year, the developers just updated it less and less. This chart shows how many general updates there were every year. The first few years, they updated it a ton, but something happened in 2021. And now, the last lesson update was back in 2022, and the game hasn't been touched since early 2024. To find out what happened, let's hop in and ask the players. Right away, there's a huge problem. There isn't much time to relax in this game, as it's very fast paced, so I struggled to find someone to talk to, until I found this player, who actually friended me and invited me to another game so I could interview them.
How long have you been playing Super Doomspire?
Oh, 1.5 years.
Have you noticed the game get abandoned?
Yes.
Why? What happened?
The owner is focused on another game he is making.
Which game?
Find stuff or something.
So players know what happened. It seems like the developer moved on from this project to focus on another game, and sadly, even though it's been a while, a lot of them still have hope it will update soon since they missed the game.
Are you sad to see the game abandoned?
Yes, no one posts videos about it anymore.
How come you still play it, even after it died?
Cause the community is trying to bring it back, and it's fun.
Do you think the devs will come back and update it, or is it over?
They will update it soon.
Confirmed or just speculating?
Speculating.
So fans of this game are really hoping the game comes back soon, even though they know it's been abandoned for a while. If we investigate deeper, what this player said was true. One of the creators, Polyhex, started working on another project in 2021 called Find Everything, which explains why updates started slowing down in 2021. This game is still a work in progress, but they're still tweeting about it and it seems to be their main focus. Sadly, with these developers moving on, it's left behind a community of players who've been playing the game for years, hoping the update and bring the game back. Because also due to it being abandoned, the player count has dropped heavily. If you thought this was crazy, our next game has billions of visits and was abandoned. Because it's Dungeon Quest, which is over 2.2 billion visits. And the story is pretty crazy, because it switched owners and both owners abandoned it. This is the original creator, vCafe, who launched Dungeon Quest in late 2018, a game in which you go through different dungeons that vary in difficulty, and you can work on upgrades, get better items, weapons, and much more. In just a few months, this game will start blowing up. You're already getting around 50,000 active players and millions of visits by early 2019. The developer was on top of the world, and every year the game would just grow bigger and bigger. By next year, they had already reached 1 billion visits, but by early 2023, the developer had a tough decision to make that would change everything. He was approached by Voldex, a studio that buys and takes over Roblox games. They currently own games like Brookhaven, Driving Empire, and much more. Voldex wanted to buy and take over Dungeon Quest. This developer now had a tough decision to make. He could either take the money and abandon the game he created and spent so many years on, or turn down the offer and continue working on the game. Now, by this point, the game was starting to die out a bit, so as you can guess, he chose the first option, and Voldex took over Dungeon Quest. which was met with some drama, as fans of the game were concerned for the future, and many even thought this was going to be the start of the end for the game, and sadly, they were right, because Voldex themselves abandoned this project 2 years later. Earlier this year, they announced that the team is focused on other projects now, and that they're only going to come back to fix bugs, and from this point on, that's all that happened, and it seems that the game won't receive major updates anymore. It makes sense why the original creator moved on from this project, but why did the new developers abandon it as well? Well, let's see what the players have to say.
How long have you been playing this game?
About like a good 3 weeks.
Are you aware it was abandoned?
Yes, I am, yet still holds memories when I had my old account.
Once again, a lot of players left in these games are people who've had such good memories with the game that it's hard for them to let go, even if the developers already did.
Why did the devs abandon it?
While everyone found new interest, I would say, yes, it was just forgotten.
This player brings up an interesting point. What he said is true. The game has lost players and died out over time, and like he mentioned, that could be because of players getting older and losing interest. This game has been around for over 6 years now. Eventually people move on. Nothing lasts forever.
Do you miss the game?
I miss the old games, wish they felt the same like they used to, fun, exciting, and with our chaotic friends.
Do you think they'll come back, or is it over?
Depends, Roblox isn't feeling the same no more. I guess we're just growing up.
Typically when games get abandoned, everyone mentions how the developers ruined it, but this player was different, and he brought in a new perspective. We're all getting older. Roblox will never be the same as it used to, and not because the platform is changing, it's because we're changing as humans. As we grow older, our lives change, our priorities change, our responsibilities change. Roblox will never feel the same, because your life is so much different than when you were younger. People are always upset when games get abandoned, but don't realize that at some point you have to move on. Let go and move on, because sometimes it's for the best. And it seems like that's what happened here. The original developer moved on, and the new developers also moved on because it didn't seem to work out. Ever since he took over the game, it didn't really go back to what it was, and just kept losing players over time. And as mentioned, they own a ton of games. They literally own the biggest game on the platform, Brookhaven, so there's no point in trying to revive this game, and it makes sense to just focus more attention on the more popular games. A crazy story and ending, but our next story is the craziest yet. Because it's Baker's Valley, which hasn't been updated in over 5 years. The game was created by Roy Stanford back in 2017. As the name suggests, it's a game about baking cakes, but you can also do more like buy a house and more. When this game launched, it was an instant hit. In just a few months, it already had 17 million visits and thousands of active players, and it would go on to get 193 million visits over time. This game was super viral and popular, but in just 2 years, the developer would abandon it forever. Let's ask the players to see if they know what happened.
Have you been playing this game for a while?
Yeah.
Have you seen it abandoned?
I don't know, it's kinda forgotten.
Do you know what happened?
I don't know.
So players recognize the game got forgotten over time, but don't exactly know why. And in general, people don't really know what happened. But once we investigate deeper, the answer becomes pretty clear. As mentioned, this is the creator, Roy Stanford, and he's one of the craziest developers ever. Why? Well, he actually has done this several times. He's created many viral games and abandoned them. It started early on with one of his first hits in Cops and Robbers, which got millions of visits, but he abandoned it just a year later. Next, he had an even bigger game in The Living Dead with over 21 million visits, which he later abandoned. But it gets even crazier. His next game was the iconic Redwood Prison with over 295 million visits, but once again, he abandoned this as well. After Baker's Valley, his next game was Spider, which is over 2.6 billion visits, one of the biggest games on the platform, but even a game this popular he abandoned. As you can see, he always moves on, no matter how popular the game is. It gets crazier because his next game after this was Rainbow Friends with over 4.3 billion visits, and even a game this popular seems like was abandoned, since it hasn't been updated in over a year. Roy Stanford isn't that active on Roblox either, typically going offline for weeks to a month. As we can see, Roy Stanford abandons his projects very often and moves on even if they have billions of visits. He's constantly working on something new, it seems like, so it's no surprise Baker's Valley was also abandoned. Next, I investigated the worst rated Roblox games. To find these games and reviews, I'll be playing this game, Better Discovery, which lets people post reviews and rate games out of 10. Up first, SpongeBob Simulator, which has almost 70 million visits, but an average rating of 1.5 out of 10. If you thought that was bad, wait till you hear the reviews. User Ducky Gaming XP said, slop, just Pet Simulator with a new skin slapped into it. I know they kinda worked hard, but why is this soulless abomination? Rating 0 out of 10. Calling it a soulless abomination is crazy. User Linguine said, imagine hearing that there's an officially licensed game called SpongeBob Simulator. Which is true, this isn't a fan game. This is an official SpongeBob game. Take a second to think about what you would do in a game like that. Catch jellyfish, cook up some Krabby Patties, blow some bubbles? Wrong. This game is just a Pet Simulator clone. Why bother making something unique when you can just do what other people did for some easy money? Rating 0 out of 10. So far, everyone is saying this game is like Pet Simulator, and now that is also a cash grab. But the next review is by far the worst. User Frozen Poop Gamer said, "The game is a complete scam towards the players. None of the items barely do anything to help you forward your progress. Rating 0 out of 10. Users have called this game soulless, a copy of another popular game, a cash grab, and now a straight up scam. Let's join and see if this is true. And at the end, I'll have to leave an honest review myself." Right when I joined, I won't lie, the game looked really good, and all the characters looked pretty solid as well. However, within 5 seconds of playing, I realized something. All the reviews that said this was a Pet Simulator ripoff were true. If you don't know, Pet Simulator is a game in which you use pets to destroy coins, use those coins to get to the next area, and the goal is to get stronger pets through eggs and more. And this game is the exact same thing. The only real difference is the fact that it's SpongeBob. Besides this fact, the game was kinda fun, but it didn't feel like a SpongeBob game. It was just used as a theme, instead of making an actual SpongeBob game. So I would say the first 2 reviews were true. After this, it was time for a boss fight, which seemed really exciting, but the boss didn't do anything, it just stood there. I then went to open some eggs and ran into another problem. This game does seem like a cash grab. In almost every new area you unlock, there's some game passes or an item they try getting you to buy. And if you check the store, there's so much stuff to buy. And when I went to open eggs, if I wanted to open more than one at a time, I had to buy that as well. All the cash grab stuff around the map, and the fact the game isn't really a SpongeBob game left me pretty disappointed. And I feel like what the first review said was true. The game is kinda soulless. I wanted to ask the players of this game some questions, but that's when I noticed something. They were all bots, which made this game feel more soulless. The map looked great, but it was empty. I was basically all alone. The longer I played, the more I stopped enjoying, but I still had one more review to test, and that was to see if it was a scam. And to do this, I'd have to spend some Robux. In the review, it said the items don't do anything, so I bought an item with Robux. It claimed to increase my earnings by 100%. Before using this, the shells would give me around 200,000 coins, and after, it did give me around 300 to 400,000 coins, so the item did work. And after using the item, I was flying through the area so quick. In just a few minutes, I became a billionaire. So this review is false, but to be fair, there are a lot of cosmetic items that don't do anything, so that could be what they're referencing. By this point, I was pretty much done with the game, and I felt that I learned everything about it. I became super rich, so it was time to leave my honest review. This game looked really nice, and the gameplay was fun at the start, but all the cash grab elements and the gameplay not even being unique quickly made this game quite boring. I also felt quite lonely. Rating 3 out of 10. If you thought this was bad, we're only getting crazier as the video goes on. Because up next is World Defenders Tower Defense, a huge game with over 287 million visits, but an average rating of 2.5 out of 10, and the reviews for this game are brutal. Pause. If you're enjoying this video so far, please subscribe. It's actually my birthday when I'm uploading this, I'll really appreciate it. User Avocado Vegan said, "The game is an eyesore to look at." What a crazy start. And its gameplay does not make up for its art style. Every tower is a recycled version of each other. At this point, the game constantly trend hops as well as being pay to win. Rating 1 out of 10. So already this user said the game is pay to win and hurts to look at. User Water Delicacy said, "The game is terribly monetized. Way too many pop-ups and gambling. Stupid amount of bugs affecting gameplay that never gets fixed. You can literally see bugs in the first screen of the game." Rating 0 out of 10. And user Triple PRC stated, "The worst tower defense game on the platform. No competition needed. Game is unbearably boring and grindy. Impossible to reach mid-game with the free and cheap towers." Rating 0 out of 10. So apparently this is the worst tower defense game on the platform since it's boring, grindy, pay to win, hurts to look at, and also has annoying pop-ups and gambling. Let's play and see if this is true. And stay tuned for my review at the end because I have to be honest. Right when I joined, there's already a review to test. The person called it an eyesore, but to be honest, I think it looked fine. It had some cool models around the place. It was nice. I would say the review was false. But now it's time to actually play the game. If you don't know how tower defense games work, there's basically a bunch of enemies coming out of a tunnel, and it's their goal to reach the end, and it's your goal to try and stop them with your towers. In this case, my enemies were dinosaurs, and my towers were a caveman and a truck. The goal was to survive 20 rounds. These two towers were pretty different from each other. The caveman threw rocks while the truck spawned every 30 seconds and drove through the map. I haven't explored all the towers, but the review said they're all the same. It didn't quite seem like it, so I'm going to say false once again. After playing a few rounds, I won't lie, I was actually having pretty fun. I had a good setup going and spent the next few rounds just upgrading my team. By round 8, I had everyone upgraded, but in these games you can upgrade them several times to make them stronger and such. So I spent the next few rounds making my team stronger and stronger. I was enjoying myself. I also never got a pop-up while playing or while in the lobby, so I'm going to say that review was false as well. By round 13, I got the next stage of upgrades on everyone and was doing fine. But round 17 was a bit of a struggle, since every round they had harder enemies, and my team wasn't holding up, so I panic bought some more towers. In the end, I survived. So far, all the reviews have been false, and to my surprise, I was having a lot of fun. But there was a slight problem near the end. The second review claimed that there's a ton of bugs, and near the end, it was a bit buggy, since the round wasn't over but it said it was over, so I'd say that's true. But now it was time for the boss fight. My team was struggling. No enemy made it this far, so I was panicking, buying and upgrading more towers. But eventually, I defeated the boss and won. By this point, I was so confused. Almost all the reviews I would say were false, and I quite enjoyed the game. Now to be fair, I would say the last review is kinda true. I don't think it's the worst tower defense game on the platform, but I do recognize it does have gambling aspects and is quite grindy. Overall though, I had a lot of fun. I then then asked some other players to get another opinion to make sure I wasn't going crazy.
How long have you been playing this game?
3 months.
Do you enjoy it?
A lot.
I then asked him about some of the reviews and he got really mad and started swearing, so it's clear players love this game. I also tried asking about the gambling and he quit the entire server, so yeah. I think this review by BovenBen3 sums up the game better. It's honestly not that bad, 6 out of 10. It was now time for my review. I enjoyed this game. It was a simple tower defense game with good towers and a good theme. The enemies and overall art of the game looked really good. Not a fan of all the gambling. However, I enjoyed playing and would play again. Rating 7 out of 10. This game surprised me, but our next game ended up being worse. Because up next is Infection Gunfight, a game with over 89 million visits, but an average rating of 1.3 out of 10, and the reviews for this game are crazy. User CookieDoughDragon24 simply said, "Don't play this, 0 out of 10. User LaceLay684 said, "This game is horrible on so many levels. Gameplay, with stock weapons you cannot feasibly kill a zombie." Then goes on to say, "Zombies. The zombies look horrid. Some classes look awful and do not fit the theme, and some are not appropriate for a children's game. Wow, I'm worried about what we will see." Finally, they said, "Monetization. Links back to gameplay. Literally the only way to play properly as a human is to pay, and zombie gameplay is not fun either. Rating 0 out of 10. So it seems like this game has a ton of problems, but apparently it's also stolen." This person said, "Bruh, this is literally a copy of an older game named Crossfire that's really old. Rating 0 out of 10. A lot of hate for the gameplay elements, and apparently it's stolen." So let's join and test these reviews. When I first joined, I was a zombie. This game is pretty simple. There's humans and zombies battling each other. Either all the zombies die and humans win, or zombies infect everyone and zombies win. The first round as a zombie actually went really well. The game didn't feel unbalanced. I was having a ton of fun. I was about to say most of these reviews are false, but the more I kept playing, the more problems I had. However, the next few rounds also went really well. I had a round on the human side which went really well. I was doing a lot of damage, the guns didn't feel unbalanced, and the round after that I was back on the zombie team, and I ended up doing really well, getting MVP and also getting 3rd place. By this point, I was confused. It was looking like the reviews were false, but the next round is where it started to go downhill. See, in the review, it said with the stock weapons you can't kill a zombie, and it didn't quite seem like it at the start since I had a team. But once I was the last one remaining, it was literally impossible. If you don't have other people around you, it's so hard to do anything with the stock weapons. So the human side kinda started to suck, but the zombie side also got ruined for me. The zombie side was not bad if you're facing people with default weapons, but some people just have crazy weapons which make the game impossible and also quite boring, since it's super unbalanced. So I'm gonna mark this review as true. But there's one scary part I didn't test yet, that being where you said, "Classes look awful and do not fit the theme, and some are not appropriate for a children's game." And when I went to check, there was a lot of anime girl skins, which to be fair, didn't show anything crazy from what I saw, but I can see where they're coming from. Overall, by this point, I think I was ready to give my review. This game got more boring over time. It can be super unbalanced at times for both sides, which ruins it. There are some cool elements, like the fact it's all in first person, but I don't see myself playing this game again. Rating 4 out of 10. Our next game though is the biggest but most hated yet. Because it's Climb and Jump Tower, which is over 500 million visits and tens of thousands of active players, but an average rating of 2.5 out of 10. How's a game this popular so low rated? Well, let's see what the reviews have to say. User Put On Your Glasses said, "It's just AFK Climb. Equip best pets to repeat. This is just awful. There's genuinely less gameplay here than Grow a Garden. Rating 0 out of 10. I don't know why Grow a Garden caught a stray." User ABC123 for me now said, "It was slightly interesting the first climb, and I mean the tiniest, thinnest, pretty much non-existent slither of interest." Wow, these reviews are brutal. Rating 1.5 out of 10. And lastly, Victor Play said, "Is a cash grab game by the way, but it tries." Rating 1 out of 10. So apparently it gets boring really quick and is a cash grab. Let's play and see if these reviews are true or false. I joined and was tasked to climb the Eiffel Tower, but very quickly I started to realize the reviews for this game are right. All you do is climb. No obstacles or anything, just a straight long path. And eventually your character slows down so you have to jump off and get more upgrades. The jump off isn't even exciting. You can't move, just straight down. I bought some wings which allowed me to move a little bit faster. Then it was the exact same thing, just climbing. For some reason, there's also pets in this game, which literally makes no sense. But within 5 minutes, I can already say the reviews for this game are true. It's very repetitive and boring. Like the second review said, the first climb was kinda interesting, because I didn't know what was going to happen, but it got boring fast, and the game also has a ton of cash grab elements all over the screen, so the last review is true as well. I wanted to give this game a chance though, so I kept climbing, jumping down over and over again. Nothing changed, just getting more upgrades and such. I thought maybe the other maps could be better, but they're locked. I was so bored, I didn't even want to try getting to the top of the current map. Right before I was about to quit, there was an event happening in a game, so I thought I'd give it a chance. Maybe this could change my thoughts on the game. After waiting for it to happen, it seemed like nothing changed. I didn't move faster or anything. It just seems like the goal is to keep you in the game for as long as they can, which earns them more money. By this point, I was pretty much done. It was time for my review. All you do is AFK climb and upgrade. I can understand why some people might like the simple and straightforward gameplay, but for me, it got boring very quickly. I don't want to play this game ever again. Rating 1 out of 10. Up next is another huge game that's super hated. because it's Tower of Dreams with over 243 million visits, but an average rating of 2.2 out of 10, and the reviews are not nice. User PGH829 said, "It's not gameplay, 0 out of 10. I don't really know what they meant by that, but user Crystal said, "Bro, how do you screw up so bad that you make blinking more fun than this?" So many think the game is very boring, but there's more. User Cata Persona said, "This sucks. The game is subpar, the design is just horrid, and the creativity is in hell because of how bad it is." And later say, difficulty, lower end of easy, maybe even effortless. Rating 1 out of 10. Typically, these tower games are supposed to be hard, so I can see why that might be an issue. But let's play and see if these reviews are true. This game was your standard Roblox obby in a tower format. For some reason, you also get a gravity coil, which helps you progress faster. Firstly, I'm going to say the first review is false, because technically it is gameplay. Next, I'm also going to say the review about it being more boring than mimicking is also false. But here's the thing, the third review has some true elements. A lot of the obby design was not only super easy, but also super basic. A lot of it was just super basic jumps, a lot of which you can literally skip with the gravity coil. There were also parts of the map that was just straight lines. It wasn't anything crazy, and it wasn't the most fun game on Roblox, but it wasn't that bad. If it was marketed as a simple fun obby, I feel like that would have been better. So the third review is mainly true, and the first two seemed a bit harsh. But now it's time for me to give an honest review. This obby is super easy and super simple, and it gets lost in the many obbies of Roblox as there's nothing unique that makes it stand out. However, it wasn't the worst thing in the world. Rating 4 out of 10. If you thought that was crazy, next we're exploring fully dead Roblox games. Strucid has gotten over 522 million visits over time. However, it only averages around 100 players a day. It used to average thousands, but has lost 90% of its players. This game was launched back in 2018 by the developer Phoenix Signs, and it exploded on launch. See, this game is a battle royale inspired by Fortnite, and since Fortnite was super popular at this time, a well-made Roblox recreation was bound for success. Many Fortnite creators started making viral videos on the game, which made it more popular, and it was getting thousands of players, but they couldn't keep this momentum, and every year the game kept losing more players. Why did this game fully die out? Well, let's play and ask the players.
How long have you been playing Strucid?
I have been playing Strucid for like a few months, but afterwards, I just stopped.
Do you know why this game died out?
It might be due to the copy of the game Fortnite.
This player had a good point. This game is kind of hopping on a trend, and since it was just a Roblox version of Fortnite, if Fortnite dies, so does this game. And Fortnite's popularity has dropped massively over the past few years. But there's more.
Fortnite, with its over-monetization, and the fact they are copying their games off Roblox, it became downhill for all the Fortnite copies. Not to mention the lack of updates this game has to offer.
Ah, so too much pay to win, and as Fortnite died, this died too.
That would be correct.
So it seems like this game has a ton of problems, which caused it to fully die out. Let's investigate deeper to see if this is the true answer. The creator, Phoenix Signs, joined Roblox all the way back in 2011. A few years later, he started launching games, and to his surprise, did it good, getting 100,000 visits each. From this point on, he was pretty quiet. It was looking like his time as a developer might be over, but he started creating more games in 2017, and this is where his life would change forever, because this is when he dropped Musical Chairs, which blew up, getting over 100 million visits. Finally, after years on the platform, and after several games, he had a viral game, and it wouldn't end here, because next year, he would launch his biggest game yet, being Strucid, which would take over Roblox. This developer now had 2 huge games, but sadly, it wouldn't last. Musical Chairs was later abandoned, and for an unknown reason deleted, and Strucid has lost almost all their players over time. Why? Well, what the player said was true. Since this game just became the Roblox Fortnite, as soon as Fortnite, the game they basically copied, started dying, so did the interest for this game, so it died over time. But also, this game has a ton of microtransactions like the player mentioned, which could have gotten annoying to players, so they quit. But this game also struggled to put out consistent updates. In the years it's been out, there's only been a few updates, so not only were people losing interest over time, but they also got bored since the game didn't add much new stuff. And now, we're at a point where it seems like it might be over for this game.
Do you think this game will come back, or is it over?
It honestly depends on where things go from here, but let's say the future isn't looking bright for Battle Royale games.
Are you sad to see it die out?
A little bit, yes. All of this potential to be inspired, wasted, abandoned.
And players seem sad that it's over since the future doesn't look bright. At this point, it's also seeming like it might be over for the developer. His games were dying, so he had one more chance. In mid-2024, he launched Hypershot. This was it. If this failed, it could potentially end his Roblox career. And at the start, this game started off pretty slow, getting a few hundred players. But the developer didn't give up, and by mid-2025, the game started blowing up. It has now reached over 90 million visits, and is getting a ton of active players. A pretty good ending, but the same can be said for our next game. Because it's Get a Snack at 4 AM, a game with over 93 million visits, but it only averages around 50 concurrent players. It used to get over 10,000, a 99% decrease in players. This game was launched in 2020, and it started off slow, but after a year when the game really started blowing up, many popular YouTubers made viral videos on it, and overall, it's a pretty unique game which helped it stand out. However, sadly, this wouldn't last forever. Just a year later in 2021, this game already dropped to averaging around 500 players, and it just kept losing players every year. We're now at a point where it's fully dead. What went wrong? Well, let's see if the players have an answer. Firstly though, if you aren't aware, this is an adventure game where the goal is to get get a snack at 4 AM. However, there are multiple different scenarios and endings a player can encounter. This game also only has one player servers, so tweet out to find some players to interview.
Have you noticed the game losing players?
Yeah, it has lost quite a bit of players.
Why? What happened?
I think since the game got discontinued, players lost interest in the game since there's nothing to do after you beat the game.
So what it seems like happened is the game didn't receive many major updates, and even though there are multiple endings, once you get them, there seems to be not much to do anymore. Other players I've spoke to confirm this.
The playability just got boring and boring every time, just unoriginal endings.
So the game has no replayability?
Not really. It had some, but just got boring the more times you play it.
It seems like the game had no replayability. Let's investigate deeper to see if this is a true answer. This game was launched in 2020 by the developer Stixel, who joined Roblox all the way back in 2012. They were pretty quiet on Roblox for the first few years, but in 2019 they released Get a Snack at 3 AM Simulator. To their surprise, this game did really well, getting a few million visits, and this game ended up being the reason why they made Get a Snack at 4 AM. From this point on, they created a few more Get a Snack games that performed decently. However, every game has died out. Why? Well, what the players said were true. They don't really add much updates to the games, and even though Get a Snack at 4 AM has multiple endings and scenarios, once you do them all, there's not much to do anymore. Also, a lot of players probably got one ending and moved on. These games don't have much replayability, which caused them to die out over time. The developer also isn't that active on Roblox anymore, not being online for a few months now. So what happened to this developer? Well, apparently, these games were also just made for fun, since the developer was bored. So it seems like they weren't fully passionate about development and didn't care about keeping the games alive, rather just some fun projects. A crazy ending, but our next story is even crazier. Because it's Tycoon, a game with over 416 million visits. Right now, it has around 500 active players, which isn't bad, but it used to get over 35,000 players. Once again, around a 98% decrease in players. How does a game this popular fully die out and lose its players? Well, let's see what the players have to say. Firstly though, this game is your typical tycoon. You start generating money slowly, and the more stuff you buy, the more money you earn. You then use this money to slowly build them all. While playing, I met this player, who's been playing for a while, and was open to talk about the current state of the game.
What happened?
It died down because there was no updates, no events.
Are you sad to see it die and get abandoned?
Yes, very.
Typically, in dead and abandoned games like this, the only people left are people who've been playing for so long, and they have such good memories attached to the game that it's hard for them to move on, even if the developers did. It's pretty sad, so let's investigate deeper to find the true answer. This is the developer, Cracky4, who joined Roblox all the way back in 2009, and their development journey is insane. A few years later in 2014, they released their first game called Icebreaker, and this game blew up, getting over 72 million visits. It was clear he knew what he was doing. Later, he also launched more games like Jailbreak, which weren't as successful but didn't do bad. By this point, the developer was already pretty successful, but 2019 is where his life changed forever. That year, after finishing school, he took a risk and spent all summer creating Break-In Story, which would become more popular than he could have ever imagined. In just a year, it already gained over 400 million visits, and would go on to get over 2.7 billion visits over time. After this is when he created Tycoon. Then he followed up Break-In with Break-In 2, which also did really well. This developer had made it. Several huge games, millions of players, billions of visits. However, what the player said was true. Not only was Tycoon abandoned, with its last update being in 2021, all of his other games, including the Breaking series, were also abandoned. And even though the games are still doing well, most of them have lost most of his players. So what's the developer up to? Well, he's actually the creator of 99 Nights in the Forest, one of the biggest games on Roblox right now, with almost 5 billion visits and millions of active players. So this developer is always just moving on, creating new games, which causes old games to fully die out. This story had a pretty good ending, but sadly, the same can be said for our next game. Because we're talking about Dig, a digging simulator on Roblox, in which you dig up random items in different locations, sell the items for money, which you can then use in upgrades and so much more. This game has over 53 million visits, but it's currently averaging around 200 to 300 players. This game is pretty new. It was released on June 28th of this year, and it had a ton of hype at the start, getting over 70,000 players. But in just 2 months, the game has lost most of its hype and audience. What went wrong? Well, I went to ask the players, but they seem confused too.
What went wrong?
I don't know, to be honest.
I don't know.
Everyone seems confused, but then I met another player who gave me an answer.
Have you been playing this game since the start?
Yes, pretty much.
Have you noticed the drop in players?
A lot.
Players recognize the game is dying. I then asked why, and he said this.
I assume what went wrong was the lack of major updates and new content.
They don't update much.
They do update every 1 to 2 weeks, but they're small updates.
So it seems like not enough updates is what caused this game to fail. Let's investigate deeper to see if this is the true answer. This is the creator, Woozy Nate, who joined Roblox back in 2016. For the first few years, they launched a few games that didn't do bad, but for the most part, it was game after game with not much success. He didn't have that big breakthrough, and it stayed like this for a while, but he never gave up. In 2024, he would launch a game that would change everything, because that year he created Fish, which started blowing up in late 2024, getting billions of visits and peaking at over 500,000 players, making it the #1 game on Roblox at this time. The developer had made it. However, this wouldn't last for long, because he eventually sold the development rights to Do Big Studios, as part of other massive games like Grow a Garden and more. From this point on, Do Big ruined the game by adding a ton of pay-to-win elements and microtransactions, which caused the game to die out and lose most of its players. By selling the game, this developer lost all his hard work he put into creating this game, and he watched the game he created be ruined and die out. He knew he had to create another game, or it might be the end of his his development journey. Dig is what the developer launched after all this, and sadly, that died out too. What the player said was true. They have done a ton of major updates, but they've also done many small updates. The problem with the updates seems to be they don't change much. They are adding new stuff, but most of the time, all it really adds is new stuff for the player to unlock. No new interesting mechanic or such that would freshen up the gameplay. So, the developers failed to capture the initial hype of this game, and quickly, players got bored of the concept and moved on. And now, the developer's in a position where both of his popular games are dying out. It's pretty sad to see what happened. On the bright side, it seems like he recently acquired Fish back, so potentially this game will get popular again. As for Dig, despite all this, players still have hope for the future of this game.
It has potential to come back if they do major updates more often, but it will stay dead for a while.
A pretty sad ending, and only time will tell if these games will come back. Our next story though is a pretty crazy ending. Because it's the classic game Scuba Diving at Quill Lake with over 143 million visits. This game was launched back in 2010 and slowly rose in popularity. By 2018, it had gotten 35 million visits and had hundreds of people playing. In 2020, the game grew even bigger despite being 10 years old, getting over 5,000 players. In general, this game has been around on Roblox for a while and had high and low periods, and overall has been losing players over time, right now averaging around 350 players. How come this game can never keep players engaged, and why does it just keep losing players? Well, let's play and see what the players have to say. Firstly though, if you aren't aware, this game is about scuba diving in a giant lake. The goal is to track down coins, items, and sell them, all while watching your oxygen levels to ensure you don't die. You can then use the coins to upgrade your gear and more.
Have you been playing this game for long?
Since 2020, I think not on this account.
Why did this game die over time?
I mean, once you kinda find everything, it's over, and it gets boring for a lot of people.
This player had a good point. As mentioned, the goal is to find various items, and even though there are 100 items to find, people probably got bored of the concept quickly and left, and then the people who did keep playing probably quit after they collected everything. The game doesn't have much replayability. However, I was now curious why some people still kept playing, so I asked the player I was talking to.
How come you still play it after all these years?
Nostalgia.
With the game this old, a lot of the remaining players are people who've been playing the game for a while, or people who played as a kid, and they have such good memories with the game, it's hard for them to forget about the game and move on. In fact, I'm one of these players. When doing research for this video, I couldn't help but feel nostalgic. I feel like I played this game before, and there actually is a way to tell. On my personal account, I joined Roblox all the way back in 2012, and this game tracks your minutes, so I logged on to check and there it was. I played a whole 15 minutes. Now obviously, this wasn't long, but for some reason, this small playthrough stuck with me. And if only 15 minutes was enough to create a memory for me, think about the players who've been playing the game for years. It's probably a game they'll never forget, since they created lifelong memories.
Are you sad to see it die out?
Yes, especially since I enjoyed it so much.
And these people are also sad to see the game die out, since it's a game they love so much. So let's investigate deeper to see if we can get a true answer as to why this game fully died out. This is the developer, Colonel Graf, who joined Roblox back in 2008. He launched a ton of games, so it's clear he was passionate about development. Most of his games eventually died out though, except one, being Scuba Diving at Quill Lake. And this game would continue doing well for years, but also over time, the game started to die. Why? Well, naturally with a Roblox game this old, it loses players over time. This game is 15 years old now. It's pretty surprising if anything that it still has players. But also, this game was eventually discontinued, which also caused a drop in players, which makes sense. After working on a game for so long, you at some point get bored and want to move on. What's the developer up to now? Well, they since created Westbound, which became more popular than Quill Lake, getting over 390 million visits and having thousands of active players. Our next video is the craziest yet, because we're looking at more dying Roblox games. Up first, Dead Rails, which is over 5.5 billion visits. Just earlier this year, they hit a peak of over 1 million players, but has been losing players ever since, now averaging around 20,000 players or less, and it just keeps losing more players over time. Let's play and see what the game's like, and see what the players are up to. This game is a survival adventure game. You spawn in a base with a train and have to go as far as you can, while getting more fuel for the train, more supplies, as well as surviving attacks and much more. Right away I ran into this player, MLC333, who said he's a hacker, and we hopped into a game together. After playing for a bit, I then asked him about what happened to the game. Have you been playing Dead Rails for a long time?
Not that much.
Like how long?
I played almost 1 year.
Have you noticed the game losing players over time?
Losing players? No.
So it seems like players don't know and don't care. Many still enjoy the game. I ended up playing with this player a bit more, but I had to go. I thought it was the end, but when I came back online, he was in game, so I invited him back. And I had a few other questions. Wait, so you're like a hacker? Like what's up?
Nothing. Bro, just start playing.
Alright, I see. Wait, you want me to buy ammo again? Or like what?
Nothing, just play.
So that's what I did. I just kept playing, but then something crazy happened. Yo! He really is a hacker.
Press wrong one. I was trying to get gold.
Oh, now we're just stuck with all this coal now. And he didn't stop there. Yo! Okay. Wow. By this point, I've been playing with this player for a while, and I was having pretty fun. Now I should say, don't hack by the way. We never actually used any of this. We just stayed in the main base talking. He also agreed to delete his hacks and never hack again. After a while, I had an idea. See, earlier, he was actually talking to me about how it was his birthday soon, so I asked him to switch games. You know the game Please Donate?
Yeah.
I'm gonna add you to a private server on my other account.
Okay.
Once we go on to Please Donate, I give him some Robux as a birthday gift. Set it up. Yo, I'm gonna give you a birthday present.
Oh, thank you, bro. Oh my god, thank you. Oh my god, thank you, bro. Thank you. Yo!
I gotta go now though. It was nice playing with you.
Okay, bye. See ya.
Overall, the players of this game are really nice. I mean, he did hack, but was nice to talk to and play with. He also didn't even know or care that the game was dying, since he still enjoyed playing it. That doesn't seem to be the case for everyone though. It seems like many left due to getting bored of the game, since the concept is quite repetitive. The devs also haven't released much major updates, so people had no reason to come back and keep playing. The developers failed to capture the initial hype of the game, and everyone lost interest fast, and now they're in a really rough position. A bad ending, but our next game is even worse. Because we're talking about Starving Artists, a donation game on Roblox where you make art and sell it for Robux. This game has over 455 million visits, but only averages around 600 players, a large drop from the over 30,000 they used to get, and it's just been dying more every day. I joined in, and after walking around for a bit, I found this player who asked some questions. Do you know why this game died out?
Why? This used to be so popular.
Yeah, well, do you know what happened?
No, I did not know what happened.
Once again, players know the game is dying, but don't exactly know why. I then ran into another player, Slide Baby, who ended up being pretty crazy.
Yo.
Yeah, is this your stand?
Do you like it? Yes, do you like it?
Did you draw this or did you steal it?
No, I do. This.
You drew this?
Yes.
Or what about this?
This, I steal it.
So you're telling me you stole this simple one and you drew all these complicated ones?
Yes. I use ChatGPT. I use ChatGPT for this.
Seriously? You couldn't draw this though? This seems pretty easy. I feel like I could draw this.
Man, I use ChatGPT of 5 minutes. I do it.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, so you didn't make it then?
Hey, secret.
Okay, whatever you say, man. This player was very interesting, and after criticizing their art, I asked him some questions about the game. Why did this game lose so many players?
It's so good.
This player was a bit confused, and we ended up having a problem, but it keeps losing players. Why?
Man, I'm Italy. I don't speak really good English.
I thought it was over talking to this player, but then I realized a solution. Wait, I can translate it. What language do you speak?
Italy.
So I typed the question into Google Translate so I could ask the player about what happened to this game. The first question was about why the game lost so many players.
Bo, I don't know.
You don't know?
No, I don't know.
But you recognize it's dying, right?
Huh?
Wait, I'll translate that.
Okay.
I then translated that too, asking if he noticed the game dying.
No.
No? You just said it is. Oh, yes. Okay. I see. Once again, another player who knows the game is dying, but they don't exactly know why. The players left are still enjoying the game, even after most players left, and they don't know why everyone left. So let's investigate deeper to find the answer. This game was launched back in 2022, a time when other donation games like Please Donate were blowing up. So a donation game with a unique concept was bound for success. Starving Artists blew up from this point on. It was launched in 2022. By the end of that year, they already had over 200 million visits and thousands of active players, and it continued doing well for the next few years. At the start, the concept of the game was fresh, so people enjoyed it, and the game was filled with people actually showing off art they made, plus the devs updated a ton, keeping players engaged. However now, the game is just about making Robux. Most people don't even make the art anymore. That player we ran into literally admitted to using ChatGPT, and the devs also don't update it that much. In fact, they're apparently working on Starving Artists too. The players are moving on from this game, and it seems like the developers are too. As more time goes on, the worse the problems get, which is why it keeps dying out and shows no signs of coming back anytime soon. A crazy ending, but our next story is the craziest yet. Because we're talking about the most popular dying game right now, Girl Garden, which has over 31 billion visits, but it's been under fire recently as it keeps losing players. They lost their #1 spot to other games, aren't even in the top 3 anymore, and compared to last month, they're down almost 50% of their average players, going from 2 to 3 million average to around 400,000 in just a few months. What happened? Well, let's play and find out. This game is about, well, growing a garden, but you can get better gear, pets, crops, and much more. The goal is to grow the best and most expensive crops. After walking around for a bit, I met this player, SJVO, who I started to question. Nice garden, bro. How long have you been playing the game?
Since the B update or whatever.
Like a few months?
Yeah, but I've been playing it less because it's been getting boring.
Actually, I want to talk to you about that. You notice how the game's been dying, right? Like, what's been going on?
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, you think the game's getting boring. Why do you think the game's getting boring?
You can have everything. Like, right now, I think I have, like, almost every seed.
Oh, so, like, once you get to a certain point, there's just not much to do anymore?
Yeah.
Do you think the game needs, like, more updates or, like, better updates?
Yeah, it needs better updates.
It's just kind of repetitive?
Yeah, they're good, they're just not that great.
Players seem to be getting bored of the updates, and think the game is getting repetitive. I then ran into another player who, after talking to for a bit, I realized something.
And it was like worth $1 trillion, and I got a lot of money from it.
Wow. Yo, are you at like a party right now? Why is there so much background noise?
Oh no, I'm in the store and they're playing it like on the intercom.
Anyways, after this, I started to actually ask him about what happened to the game. Have you seen it losing players though? Like, it's been losing players for the past couple weeks.
Oh yeah, it has. Yeah, it might be dying.
Do you know why? Do you think people are getting bored? Like, what's happening?
It's kind of like the same thing, because there's always a seed pack, and then when the update comes out, there's a chest, and then after that it's a new like mystical event. It's just over and over again. There's no new concepts.
I see. Another player who seems frustrated with how every update feels the same. It seems like the game is failing to keep players excited, so a lot of people are getting bored and quitting. You think it's getting too repetitive?
Yeah, I feel like this game should like have a little bit more spark.
Overall, it seems like this game has two major problems these players outlined. Firstly, if you grind the game for a bit, you'll reach a point where you kind of done everything and got everything. And since the game's been out for a few months now, many players have reached this point. And the bad thing is, the more you play, the quicker you reach this point, because then the only way to keep you engaged is new and fresh content. However, Grow Garden is seemingly failing at that, as players just feel like the updates are getting too repetitive, and now we're in a state where players feel like they have nothing left to do, so they're quitting and moving on. This game still managed to keep a large player base, despite them constantly dying. Our next game, however, is almost fully dead. Because it's Funky Friday, with over 1.9 billion visits, but it's just been losing players as time goes on. Right now averaging around 3,000 players, compared to their peak of averaging around 50,000 players, around a 95% decrease in players. Let's play and ask the players what went wrong. How long have you been playing this game?
I started like, I think the year or the year after it came out.
I see. Do you know why the game like completely died off?
Probably the lack of updates.
So have you seen it, like the downfall?
Yeah, I've seen it. It was terrible.
Are you sad to see it die, or do you kind of expect it?
A little bit of both.
It seems like since the game didn't update much, people got bored and quit. I then found another player who gave me another reason. You've been playing since the start?
Yeah, I've been playing since the start, and I took a huge break, and this is my first time hopping on Sims.
Oh yeah? So have you noticed like the game lose a bunch of players or not?
Yeah, it did. It fell off, really.
Do you know what happened?
I'm pretty sure some it was a Game Fam bought this game, and then there's a lot of controversy behind it on how they were getting collabs, and Friday Night Funkin' wasn't actually getting it.
So it seems like this game was bought and got into some drama, which isn't entirely true. Game Fam doesn't seem to fully own the game, but they are partnered with it. The big drama was when this game got an official Sonic collab, but the real game didn't. If you don't know, the original game is Friday Night Funkin', and Funky Friday is essentially the Roblox version of it. So Game Fam is a Roblox studio who owns and is partnered with a ton of games. The problem with this is that they're also a super controversial game studio, who apparently underpaid their employees, along with a ton more drama. Overall, it seems like due to a bunch of drama, lack of updates, many people just want to move on, so they quit. Are you sad to see it like fall off since you've been playing since the start?
Yeah, I mean, it changed really. Like, the map is insane, it's just huge.
Wait, so this is your first time hopping on after like a long time, right?
Yeah, last time I played was what, 2023? No, 2022.
So this is your first time in like 3 years? What do you think about the game now?
I mean, so much has changed. It's confusing, really. I miss the simpler times.
It seems like the game also just started getting worse for people over time, and more complicated, especially for those who were around since the start. You think the game just got worse over time?
Yeah, it just started decaying.
Overall, many players left for different reasons. Lack of updates, all the drama, the game getting boring, more complicated, and all these factors leave the game dying out, with no sign of getting revived anytime soon. A crazy ending, but our next story is the craziest yet. Because we're talking about Bubblegum Simulator Infinity, a Roblox simulator game with over 525 million visits. This game was launched earlier this year, but after a few months, it started dying out, and now they've lost almost their entire audience, going from getting 200 to 300,000 players to now getting around 5 to 10,000, and it happened very quick compared to these other games. What went wrong? Well, let's play and find out. This game is about blowing the biggest bubble and getting as high as you can in the map. You can buy a better gun, which earns you more money and allows you to jump higher. There's also a bunch of elements like pets. After playing for a bit, I tried to find someone to interview, but no matter how much I asked, how many different servers I joined, it was seemingly impossible to find a player to talk to. No one even talked in the chat. Some servers had people actually playing, but some servers I joined I realized something was off. In a lot of servers, near the spawn, there would just be random AFK players who were sort of glitched. Then after looking at the server list, something became quite obvious. This game is heavily botted. I found and joined many bot servers, and it seems like this game's so dead that it's hard to even find real players anymore. As to why it died, well, it seems like this was always the case. Early on, when Roblox hit a bot ban wave, this game lost over half their players. We never truly knew how popular this game was, since it was filled with bots. Now to be fair, this was likely not the developers doing it, since this was happening to a lot of Roblox games due to people farming the items to sell them for real money. Overall though, this game just keeps dying, and now we're in a weird spot where a lot of servers are just filled with bots still. Next, we're exploring more abandoned Roblox games, starting with Steep Steps, which is over 165 million visits. This game was launched back in 2022 and went viral on launch. In their first month, already getting millions of visits and thousands of active players. The developers also kept adding new updates which kept players engaged. However, over time, not only has this game died out and lost most of its audience, but the developer also abandoned it, with the game not being updated much anymore. What happened? Well, let's play and find out and see who's still playing this game. This game is an obby where your goal is to climb a mountain with only a ladder, no jumping allowed, just climbing and pushing the ladder, turning as high as you can and reach the highest meters. After walking around for a while, I ran into this player, Tari, but I messed up right away. Yeah, who got voice chat?
I do.
Who's I?
It is It is I.
Wait, where are you at?
I'm right in front of you, Stan.
Wait for me to actually wait. No, I've been waiting so long for someone to voice chat.
Okay.
Anyways, after this, I asked him about what happened to this game. Alright, have you been playing this game for a while?
I haven't played it in a while, but I used to play it a lot.
Like, how long?
I don't know, like a few years.
So have you noticed this game like kind of die out over time?
Literally it did. There's like barely anyone playing.
You think the developers abandoned it? I don't think they updated it, right?
Yeah, I don't think so.
So players know the game was abandoned, and they also know it's dying, as not many people play anymore. I then asked them if they know why. Do you know what happened?
I think like it was popular and then it just died because people got bored of it, I guess.
Do you miss like updates and stuff, or you kind of expected it?
I expected it, and I got bored of it too anyways.
So it seems like many players left this game since they just got bored, but they don't exactly know why the developers also abandoned the project. Anyways, after this, I continued playing with this player for a while, and I found out more about them and their experience with this game. What's the furthest you ever got?
500 meters.
Let's get to 500 right now. We'll beat your streak.
Oh my gosh, I'm not doing that. It took me like so many days.
It took you days?
Yes.
How many days?
Lots of raging. Like weeks even.
Took you weeks to get to 500?
Yeah, because I raged too much.
Okay, yeah, we're not doing that.
Yeah, exactly. It gets harder.
And as a player mentioned before, he said he played this game for years, but I don't have much experience, so I kept falling behind.
Can we like speed this up?
Me? I thought I'm going pretty fast.
I don't think so.
I'm not a pro like you. I don't know what I'm doing.
You just have to put the ladder by the wall and climb it.
It's harder than it looks. It's harder than it looks. I didn't know I was talking to a pro.
I'm not a pro. I'm a retired pro.
Oh, okay, so you were one at least.
Yeah, sure.
Now, since this player was apparently so good at the game, I decided to give them a challenge to see how good they actually were. How far do you think you can get right now?
100 meters.
Whatever meters you get to before you fall is how much Robux I'll give you right now. If you get to 100, I'll give you 100 Robux.
For real?
Yeah, for real.
But I don't really need the Robux.
This player rejected the Robux, and instead told me to give it to another player.
Give it to the people that need it.
And I end up giving it to someone really special later, so stay tuned. This player though was super nice. They didn't want any Robux, and just wanted to play and help me out, since I never got that far in this game. I'm not even doing any of the work anymore, it's all on you.
Literally, I'm putting the ladder for you. Like, this is special treatment.
I never made it this far before.
Have you not played this game?
Nah, I think I usually fall at like 30, I'm not gonna lie.
How? Like how?
But sadly, even though we were doing good, this happened. No!
It was the guy that pushed the wall, oh my god.
Wait, you fell too?
Yeah.
And then we had even more problems.
Why is my thing glitched?
Oh, you're a pro.
I'm not a pro.
Nah, you said you were.
I said retired.
Now, throughout my time playing with this player, I just kept making fun of them since they called themselves a former pro. Obviously just joking around.
It's so easy.
You fell at 80 though.
It wasn't my fault.
Yeah, you fell though. It's your fault for falling. Yo, I thought you were good at the game. What happened?
Bro, that's not on me. Like, what?
And after all this, they decided to get some revenge by making me do all the work now.
Since you asked me for help, why don't I see how you go?
Oh, okay.
Go! I'm watching.
I'm waiting for you. You're not gonna use my ladder? Okay, that's messed up.
You can continue.
Yeah, you didn't see that. You didn't see that. And we kept going, getting pretty far up the mountain. But then I messed up. I lost my ladder, and I accidentally clicked the button back to spawn. And just like that, it was over. I couldn't get back in time, and I never saw that player ever again. Overall, though, the remaining players of this game were super nice. As I mentioned, it seems like a lot of players got bored and left, so we know why the players abandoned it. But why did the developers abandon it too? Well, once you dig deeper, the answer becomes quite obvious. This game is owned by Jandel, who also owns a part in Grow Garden, Plants vs. Brainrot, a Dusty Trip, and so much more. He's one of the biggest developers, and constantly works on some of the biggest games, so it's likely he just got busy with other projects. And since Steep Steps is a smaller game compared to other games he works on, it probably just wasn't worth the time. And it seems to be true because I asked Jandel. He said that he kept updating Steep Steps for years even after it died because he loves the game, and that he's actually thinking of making a Steep Steps too. But sadly, there's still a community left behind of super nice people who missed the game and want it back, but that may never happen. A crazy story, but our next story is even crazier. Because up next is War Simulator, which has over 270 million visits. This game was launched 5 years ago now though, and the developers moved on, not really updating it anymore. They went from hitting around 20,000 players to now getting around 500, so the game's been losing players as well. Let's play and find out what happened to this game. As the name suggests, this game is a war simulator, where you act as a soldier and can unlock new maps in different time periods. After joining a few different servers, I got into this server where there's only one other player. I don't understand. Well, I started to question, do you have a mic? Like, can you talk?
Yeah, I can talk.
Yo, what's up, man?
So I used to be like in the maybe 4th last world, and then I lost my account.
How do you lose your account?
Permaban.
Wait, what did you do?
So these people won't stop screaming in voice chat. So unholy stuff.
I see. Okay, I'm not gonna ask any further questions.
But I had a valid crash out. It was in
Oh,
download.
okay. So you crashed out and lost your entire account?
Yeah.
And now you're back?
Well, I'm on the alt. This is my new main.
After finding out the crazy history of this player, I then started to actually ask them about the game and what happened to it. Can I ask you a question about this game?
Yeah.
Do you know what happened to it? It seems like the developers abandoned it.
Yeah, he did.
Why?
I don't know.
But like, it's kind of dying out now, right?
Yeah. It's like really dead.
Once again, players saw this game die out and realized the developers abandoned it, and don't quite know why. And typically, the only people left in these games seem to be players who've played for a while, and didn't leave like most other players. How long have you been playing this game?
Like, on my main for like years.
Wow, so you had years of progress and you crashed out and lost everything?
Yeah.
And now, wait, is this your first time back?
Yep.
From this point on, I just played the game with the player, and it was actually my first time, so he helped me out. This is actually my first time playing. Like, what do? I don't know, I never played this game before.
So like you have a gun, you have a bomb, and you have machete.
Yeah?
So you shoot them, you're supposed to kill them, you have to make it to the end, and then you can farm the end.
Wait, why can't I just run to the end? It seems pretty easy.
There's a tank.
This then became our goal, get to the end of the map, and since I didn't know what I was doing, I just followed his lead. Alright, I'll follow you. Wait, so we have to get rid of the tank? Is that the goal?
Yeah, if we get rid of the tank, we can storm in there, kill the general, and farm the general.
Alright, I'm gonna follow your lead. We were making good progress. We were almost at the end, but then this happened.
Remember the slides?
Wait, how do you slide? I don't know how to do it.
You run and then press C.
C. Wait, what? It doesn't work. Oh, okay, I got it. Wait, where did he go? He died, so we were back to the start. But we were still determined to get to the end. What?
I'll cover you, go.
Go where? Where am I supposed to go? I've never played this game before.
I've played these games before.
I haven't though. And eventually we made it to the end, but it wasn't what we expected.
Okay, there's usually like everyone here.
Wait, the game broke?
That's strange. Watch out, there's SWAT in there.
Okay, I'm following you.
I'll take first peek.
Go.
Took the tank out.
Nice, let's go. Everything was going well. We were almost about to beat the map, but then the game started lagging bad for the both of us.
Lagging.
Well, I'm lagging too. However, eventually we both realized something.
I have enough money to go to the next world, but I'm not gonna abandon you.
Wait, I do too. Should we both just abandon it?
Okay, bet, let's die.
Alright, let's go. Yeah, we just gave up. Overall though, this player was super nice. Not only was he teaching me how to play the game and helping me out, but he also didn't want to leave me behind, even though he could have progressed further. I was probably holding him back, but he didn't mind. I was playing with this player for a while now, and I noticed he kept talking about their old account they used to have. Yeah, I don't think we got trillions, yo.
I think I had trillions on my main account that got banned.
So I had an idea. Remember how the last player from Steep Steps said pass the Robux on to someone who needs it? Well, this seemed like the perfect player to give it to. Not only just because they were super nice, but to help them get stuff back from their lost account. However, it didn't end up being that easy. So is this your new like permanent account?
Yeah, my new permanent.
Yo, you've been like really nice showing me around. If you want, I can donate you some Robux to help you get your stuff back.
I would love that, but I don't know how to make game passes.
Yeah, this player had no way of me donating, but I didn't give up. I then spent the next like 10 minutes giving him a tutorial on how to set up a donation badge. I can show you, it's easy. I can tell you right now. Make it for like 5,000 Robux or something.
5,000?
Yeah, and finally, after it was all set up, it was time. Alright, I'm gonna leave and I'm gonna join Please Donate. You're on my friends list, right? Join me and Please Donate. I'm gonna join it.
Okay.
Yo, set up your stand.
This is my first game pass.
Enjoy, man.
Thank you.
Of course. Thank you for playing with me, man. You're so nice.
My highest I bought was 2,000.
Thank you for playing with me, yo. I gotta go now, though.
Alright, bro. Thank you.
Overall, the remaining players in this game are really nice. Typically, the only people left in abandoned games are people who've been playing for years and have too much good memories associated with the game that they can't move on even if the developers did. Why did the developers of War Simulator move on though? Well, this is the owner, Undone Builder, and if you check their profile, they own and are a part of a ton of Roblox games, a lot of which have gotten more popular than War Simulator. So it seems like once again, the developers want to move on to other projects, and sadly with that, it left behind a group of players who missed the game, but know it's abandoned and will probably not come back anytime soon, or ever. This game's ending made sense, but our next game's developer disappeared. The game being Ultimate Driving, which was launched all the way back in 2011 and got over 450 million visits over time. But this game hasn't been updated in over a year, and the developer also doesn't seem active on Roblox, as they only go online once every few months. What happened to this game and developer? Let's play and find out. This game is a driving simulator. You drive a bunch of different cars, upgrade and customize them, race them, and so much more. After walking around for a bit, I ran into this player. Yo, you got voice chat?
Yeah, I got voice chat.
Unlock it, let me in. Let's go. Take me to your favorite spot on the map. I thought this was off to a good start, but then... I got kicked out, and I never saw that player ever again. Luckily, after a bit, I found another player who said they'll meet me at spawn, and they did. They picked me up and took me to a spot where I then asked them about the game, but even this didn't go how I thought it would. How long have you been playing this game?
For about 2 weeks now.
Oh, so you're like a new player?
A little bit. I played when I was younger.
Oh, I see. Have you noticed that they like abandoned the game? It's not really updated anymore.
Yeah, I see it.
Just as he was about to answer, he disappeared. But after talking to the Jai, he said he'd come pick me up again. However, there's some confusion, so it literally took us like 10 minutes to find each other again. Yo! My bad, yo.
Where you been, bro?
I spotted me at the other spawn for some reason, I don't know. By this point, instead of asking more questions, I thought I would play with the player more. And remembered earlier how he asked me if I wanted to rob the bank.
Is you trying to rob the bank?
So I told him we should go do it, but this ended in the craziest way possible. Yeah, let's do it.
Alright, so you see the hand icon at the top?
Yeah.
Click that, and alright, you did it.
Let's go, yo. Let's rob some stuff. Yeah, I ended up getting my voice chat suspended for 5 minutes. I guess it was because we were talking about robbing, and that marked the end of my time with this player, and also my time in Ultimate Driving. So what happened to this game and the developer? Why was it abandoned? Well, as I mentioned at the start, this game was made all the way back in 2011, and it's been running for over 14 years now. And the developer decided in January of this year, after over a decade, to let the game rest and ride off into the sunset. The developers want to move on after all this time, to grow and make space for new opportunities. In the over decade this game has been around, it fostered a community of people who have a deep love and care for the game, so they'll always stick around. And that seems to be the case, as there's still a decent amount of players left playing and messing around. A pretty good ending, but the same can be said for our next game. Because we're talking about Kitty, which is over 1.4 billion visits. This game was launched back in 2020 and blew up on launch, already getting over 500 million visits and thousands of players in a few months. And they were constantly updating the game, making it grow bigger and bigger. But now, a few years later, this project was abandoned, with the developers not really updating it anymore. And this has caused most of the players to leave. What happened? Well, let's play and see what happened, and see who's still playing this game. This game is a survival adventure game, where you and other players work together in different maps to try and escape, all while a cat chases you and tries to stop you, hence the name Kitty. Due to the hectic nature of this game, it was hard to interview players since this would keep happening. I know you got voice chat.
What did you say?
You got voice chat? Oh, we'll move. And my bad. So I resorted to chat.
What happened to this game? Anyone know why it was abandoned?
Because it's not popular and you declined a lot with its new levels.
Not exactly sure what he meant, so I have some more players.
Why was this game abandoned?
I don't know.
Anyone know?
No.
So the players in general seem pretty confused as to what happened to this game and why it was abandoned. Let's dig deeper to see if we can find an answer. This is the owner, Gab, and if you look at his profile, this is really the only game he owns. However, it seems like they are working on new projects. And if we look in Kitty, the answer becomes quite obvious. The levels in this game are in form of chapters, which tell the story, and it seems like the story just came to an end. So the developers moved on to other projects. Apparently though, even though this game has been dying and abandoned for a while, they still have plans to remake this game in 2026, after their other games. So I guess we have to wait and see if this is true. And lastly, let's investigate more forgotten Roblox games. Up first, Booga Booga, which has over 503 million visits. Back in 2018, this game took over Roblox, constantly getting over 20 to 30,000 players, and in general, everyone was talking about it. But now, the main game has been deleted, and the re-uploads get around 1,000 players. Let's play and see what the game's like, and see what the players are up to. Booga Booga is an open world survival game. The goal is to survive for as long as you can, and create or join the most powerful tribe. After playing for a bit, I ran to this player, Jammy, and after tracking him down, I asked him some questions about the game. How long have you been playing this game?
It's been like 5 years maybe, but I barely play. Like, I don't even play this game anymore.
How come you don't play anymore?
Because it's boring, I guess, and I just rage quit when someone killed me.
So you think people just got bored over time?
It's not that they are bored, but like most likely they rage quit when someone killed you. You lost all your items, and they just don't want to play anymore.
This player made a good point. In this game, once you die, you lose everything. A lot of players probably got sick of losing all their hard work over and over again, so they quit. Before I continue playing, I had one more question for this player. How come you still play the game?
The nostalgia, you know. Oh, this game, I used to play it a lot.
After this, me and this player decided to team up.
We can just team up, you know,
and see how long we could survive. After a bit, this player told me a bit more about their experience with this game.
I actually just lost my items like a year ago.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, I don't have anything on me.
He also started telling me about his life.
It's Indonesia. Do you know that?
Oh yeah, you gotta guess where I'm from now. I was also telling him about my life.
You have the vibe, you know, I guess you're American.
Close, Canada.
Canadian? Oh yeah. I wish I could touch snow in my life, you know.
It was pretty wholesome, honestly. This random player I met was becoming my friend, and after some time we built a proper base. But just as we were starting to get comfortable, it all got ruined. We decided to go to one of the floating islands, and as we were mining, we got attacked by another tribe. Jammy, the person I've been playing with this whole time, died right in front of me. I managed to escape, but just when I thought I was safe, I got killed too. Just like that, we lost everything. We managed to meet up again though, but by this point, both of us didn't feel like playing anymore. So we quit, and my time with this player was over, and so was my time in Booga Booga. This is literally what the player told me at the start. I experienced it firsthand.
It's not that they are bored, but like, most likely they rage quit.
This game is fun, but the fact you lose everything when you die makes you want to play it less. And it's not just us, many players have said this. And over time, more people just moved on and forgot about the game. But also, like I mentioned at the start, the original Booga Booga is deleted. And that's because back in 2019, the developer actually announced the game will no longer be updated. So not only did the players move on, but so did the developer, causing this game to become forgotten over time, leaving behind players who missed the game and want to relive what it was like in its prime.
The nostalgia, you know. Oh, but this game, I used to play it a lot.
Overall, this game had a ton of problems, with many thinking it just got worse as time went on. The game started off simple, but got more complicated and more unbalanced over time. This game also had a huge hacker problem, and many players quit after losing everything to a hacker. All this led to where we are now, the original game being shut down, and the developer moving on, and not even being that active on Roblox anymore. A bad ending, but our next game is even worse. Because we're talking about Wizard Tycoon, a 2-player tycoon on Roblox, where you and another player try to build up your base, as well as get better gear to become a stronger wizard. This game has over 685 million visits, but only averages around 700 players. This is a classic game, being made over 10 years ago now. It used to be one of the biggest games, but it's become forgotten over time. And now, no one really talks about it or plays it. Let's try and see who's still playing this game. I first ran into this player, who I had some questions too. How long have you been playing this game?
Just a couple years.
Years?
Yeah.
Like, it seems like people forgot about it. Do you know why?
Yeah, I guess so, but I don't know why.
This player recognizes the game is dying, but doesn't exactly know why. So I went to ask another player. You want to team up?
Yeah.
Have you been playing for like a long time, or you just found the game?
No, I've been playing this game.
I feel like people forgot about this game over time, no?
Yeah.
What happened? You think people just got bored?
Probably because maybe new games came out.
Once again, another player who's been playing the game for a while and recognizes it became forgotten but doesn't quite know why. After this, I continued playing with this player for a while, and we had a goal to beat the game. Have you beat this game before?
Yes.
How long does it take?
It took about like half an hour.
That's it? Now, we were trying to beat the game, but not fully legit. Should I buy one?
There's no way you can actually buy one.
And which one? Pick one.
Buy the red one. There's no way, bro.
Alright, I bought it.
You're lying. Why is $50,000 in the corner?
Oh, you're right. Yeah, let's just finish the game quick. Look, I literally bought it. Look, I can buy everything now.
Yo.
Eventually, after an hour, even though it wasn't fully legit, we managed to beat the game, basically. Yo, I think we beat it, no? We basically have everything, just not the roof.
Yeah.
We beat the game. This player was really nice. I mean, there was some weird moments.
Wait, how old is you, bro?
20. I'm an Ankia.
You got a wife?
No, I'm not that old. Relax.
Do you need one?
But overall, a pretty nice and wholesome player. This was actually my first time playing, and he was guiding me, showing me how to play and beat the game. So I had an idea. This player really wanted to play another game after.
Next game?
So I told him to join me so I can surprise him with some Robux. Actually, yeah, you know what? I'm gonna leave and then join me, alright?
Alright.
Yo, I want to give you a Christmas present, yo.
Holy, thank you, man. Thank you. I actually appreciate it.
Thanks for playing with me, yeah. I had a good time in Wizard Tycoon. There's still a mystery as to what happened to the game. The players left still enjoy the game, but don't know what happened.
Yeah, I guess so, but I don't know why.
Probably because maybe new games came out.
But if you look deeper, the answer becomes quite obvious. As I mentioned at the start, this game is over 10 years old now, and over time, the game hasn't changed much. In fact, it's not even being updated anymore. So naturally, over time, a game will get forgotten, especially if the developers don't change it. And surprisingly, there's still a community left behind after all this time who haven't moved on and still enjoy the game. A pretty good ending, but the same can be said for our next game. Because we're talking about Piggy, which is almost 14 billion visits. Back in 2020, this was one of the biggest games on the platform. It was everywhere, constantly dominating, and having over 200,000 players, and even getting 500,000 players for their updates. But now, not only has this game died out, but it's become forgotten, with not many people talking about it anymore. And this year, they've gone below 10,000 players, and hit some of their lowest player counts. To find out what happened, let's play and ask the players. Firstly though, if you don't know, Piggy is a survival horror game, where you and other players try to survive and escape a map, while avoiding the Piggy, who's chasing you and trying to kill you. There's a bunch of different game modes, maps, and more. I first ran into this player, but it didn't end how I thought it would. What happened to this game? I feel like everyone forgot about it.
For real? I was just talking about that, like...
You know what happened?
No, I feel like it got forgotten.
Why though? No way.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, they backstabbed me. But next round, I started to ask them some more questions. It's not you, right? You wouldn't lie to me again.
No, it's not me.
How long have you been playing this game?
Oh wow. I think this was the first game I played.
How come you still play it?
Because nobody really plays it anymore. And I feel like there's more players.
The game's kind of lonely now?
Yes.
Are you sad to see it die out?
Yeah.
So players know the game was forgotten and died out, And sadly, the players who are still playing feel lonely nowadays, but they don't quite know what happened. So I went around asking some more players, yo, what happened to this game, man? I feel like everyone forgot about it.
Don't worry about it.
What do you mean don't worry about it? What happened? Like no one talks about this game anymore. I feel like it's kind of lonely now.
Yeah, it does.
This player was kind of confusing, but he did also say he felt lonely in this game. So I went around to ask other players, how long have you been playing this game?
Maybe 3 years.
Oh yeah? Have you noticed, like, I feel like everyone forgot about this game over time. What happened?
Not sure, but I feel like they've been trying to do too much. So I feel like people stop playing. Because it used to be like way more popular.
I know, I feel like no one talks about this game anymore.
I don't know why, really.
In general, players don't really know what happened, but they recognize the game got forgotten over time. So let's investigate deeper to find the answer. It seems like Piggy died and got forgotten for 2 reasons. Firstly, this game is a story, and is told through chapters, which are the different maps. However, 3 years ago, the game reached a point where the story was told, meaning no more major updates, and this was basically marked as the end of Piggy. From this point on, the game still did well, and the developers did add some updates here and there, but this is where another problem comes in. The remaining players seem to not be enjoying the updates as much, kinda like what the player said.
Not sure, but I feel like they've been trying to do too much.
And many also think the game just got too complicated over time, since it started off pretty simple. So a lot of players moved on after the story ended, and then the remaining players started leaving after they stopped enjoying the game, which overall left many just forgetting about the game. A crazy ending where our next story is the craziest yet. Because we're talking about Lucky Block Battlegrounds, a game which has over 1.6 billion visits. This game is a fighting game, where you get a random gear from a Lucky Block and use it to fight other players. This game was super popular back in 2017 and 2018, but it's been forgotten over time, with it just losing players every year. Let's play and see who's still playing this game. I first ran into these 2 players who told me about their experience with this game. How long have you been playing this game?
34 minutes now.
How do you find the game?
My friend over here.
Wait, yo, you got voice chat too? Yo, how long have you been playing this game?
6 to 7.
Okay, come on, bruh.
Okay, probably 2019.
Have you noticed the game kind of get forgotten over time?
It has changed.
These players recognize the game changed over time, which could be the reason why it got forgotten. I went around some more though to see what other players had to say, and I ran into this player, Swagger, who told me about his experience with this game.
Played a long time ago, but I hopped back on.
Like you forgot about the game and now you're back?
Yep.
That's actually why I'm here. I'm exploring forgotten games. I feel like everyone forgot about this game, you know?
Everyone did.
Do you know what happened to the game? Or do you think people just kind of got bored over time?
People got bored. It just died over time.
I continued playing with this player for a bit, and he told me what the game was like back in the day. Were you good at the game back in the day?
Well, back in the day, there were so much people that used Roblox for all the blocks, and it was kind of hard to even get to the middle, because you would just die.
So it's easier now.
Yeah, it's easier. Not as much people.
Overall, it seems like what these players said was true. Over time, the game just got boring to people, so they moved on and forgot about it. Even though this game changed over time, the concept always remained the same. You open Lucky Blocks and fight players. And now that the game is 8 years old, you can imagine after doing the same thing over and over again, why players got bored and moved on. However, with the concept not changing much, the people who come back actually enjoy the game, which probably explains why the game still has a community. Do you still enjoy it, or does it hit the same?
It's still as fun as it used to be.
Oh really? Okay, that's good. A good ending, but the same can be said for our next game. Because we're talking about Hole in the Wall, a game with over 595 million visits. This is a classic Roblox game being made over 16 years ago back in 2009, and it was super popular for a while, even getting random spikes of popularity last year. But in general, many forgot about this game over time, and now they average around 700 players, compared to the thousands they used to get. What happened to this game? Well, let's play and find out. If you don't know, this game is really simple. Every round a wall comes at you with a random shape that you have to adjust to. The goal is to get through the wall and don't let the wall hit you. For some reason at first, I struggled to find any players to talk to since no one spoke English. First I ran into some French people.
French.
French? Yeah, I don't know French. English? English? You know English?
Little.
Okay, yeah, this ain't gonna work then. Then some Spanish people.
No hablo inglés.
But eventually I found a player to talk to. How long have you been playing this game?
10 years.
I feel like people forgot about the game.
Yeah, but I still love the game, bro.
This player didn't know why the game died, but they know it got forgotten over time. And sadly, since many players left, the game started feeling lonely. Do you think this game feels lonely?
Yeah.
Overall, the players left in this game still enjoy it after all these years, but are starting to feel lonely as the game dies out and gets forgotten over time, but they don't know what happened to the game. However, the answer seems pretty clear. As mentioned, this is the oldest game on the list, being made over 16 years ago, and once again, the concept for this game never really changed. It's always been the same thing, which is why over time people just moved on, but since the concept is still fun, many people still play and enjoy it. Subscribe and like if you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one.